girls when it just can't be beat. Yeah, we're the gearheads, part of the crew. Let's wild ride and we're always breaking through. Tires squealing as we race through the night. Underneath the stars, everything feels right. Got a classic Chevy and a hot rod too. Every girl's a queen when we roll into view. With leather jackets on, we're the kings of the block. Shining up our cars, talking about the next mod. Drag strips to car shows, we own this town. When the engines fire up, we're the talk of the crowd. And we're the gearheads, living for the thrill.
Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
I don't even, I don't even know how to begin tonight. I have all this foul language stuck in my head that I want to use, and I'm resisting. I'm trying to exercise a degree of self-control because of Donald Trump. Not just because of Donald Trump, but also because of the bizarre reaction that I'm seeing from so many Canadians. Here he is, he goes and speaks at the World Economic Forum and basically says, we don't need Canada. And then he lies. Lie, 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 liar, liar, pants on fire, hanging from a World Economic Forum telephone wire. Lying up a blue streak, or a red streak, saying that misinformation and disinformation is the language of the left, that they just use those words to stifle free speech. And in the same damn speech, he sits there and says that he's freed America, that he's restored free speech, while he lies his ass off, saying that the United States has a $250 billion trade deficit with Canada. Lie. It's a lie. Not even a little lie. It's like a gigantic lie. Not even close. The guy has no sense of scale, scope, and doesn't know who his real friends are. Can't even get the right number of Russians who were killed in the Second World War correct. Like 60 million. Shut the hell up. Knows nothing. I don't know what the deal is with this guy this time around, but I hope people wake up in Canada quick. The ones who are still asleep and just making bloody excuses for bad behavior. I'm just tired of it. I'm out. Okay? I'm just out. This guy is a child. A great big spoiled brat. And he's just treating the world like his plaything. Unbelievable. And Canada's not a plaything for somebody like him. And I was going to try to be even-tempered. I'm not doing a very good job. I can't believe what he was saying at the World Economic Forum today. What a moron. I mean, seriously. I don't care what you guys say. Attack, attack, attack. Defend, defend, defend the idiot. Okay? Go ahead. He's destroying America. He's not making America great again. He's destroying America while he lights the world on fire, this guy. Unbelievable. And people are like, it's our own fault. All we have to do is secure the border. Shut up. Like, seriously, shut your pie hole. Because you really don't know what he's doing. I've been warning people for 2 years this is coming. And people are like, he's going to save America. Make America great again. I'm Maple MAGA. MAGA, 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 MAGA. Like, seriously, shut up. Your country's under attack. And you think that the guy who's destroying everything is the guy who's saving you. You got it all upside down. I'll show you when we come back. I'm just livid. This guy, some people say he's the Antichrist. I'm beginning to believe it.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
So many of the Maverick family, people in the freedom movement, people even the MAGA movement, they're like, if this politician has even been to Davos, even if they've talked to somebody who went to the World Economic Forum, that's it. They're canceled. I'm not talking to that. They're out. Pierre Poilievre, he was on the website and then he was off the website, but he was on it and he's canceled. He's out of there. And he says that, just shut up. I'm serious. Trump has been to the World Economic Forum 3 times. This is his 3rd time. But everybody gives him a pass because they think that he's there opposing the W.E.F. No, he's not. That's why they keep inviting him back. Well, he is the president. So today, his 4th day in office, I think today, right? Yeah, so he appears virtually and gives, I think he spoke for about 45 minutes, better part of an hour today. Kind of setting the world on fire. It's going to set Canada on fire, that's for sure. So, well, I mean, oh, he's anti-W.E.F. No, he's at the W.E.F. let's get a couple of clips out of this guy today. And hopefully we open at least part way, the other eye tonight for people. The guy he's just setting everything on fire. Here's clip 1.
I terminated the ridiculous and incredibly wasteful Green New Deal. I call it the Green New Scam. Withdrew from the one-sided Paris Climate Accord and ended the insane and costly electric vehicle mandate. We're going to let people buy the car they want to buy. I declared a national energy emergency, and that's so important, national energy emergency to unlock the liquid gold under our feet and pave the way for rapid approvals of new energy infrastructure. The United States has the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we're going to use it. Not only will this reduce the cost of virtually all goods and services, it'll make the United States a manufacturing superpower and the world capital of artificial intelligence and crypto. I terminated the ridiculous and incredibly wasteful Green New...
Looping around, we'll stop that. All right. So this guy declares a national energy emergency, then turns around. Okay, hang on a second here. I lost the clip, so I got to find it again here. A national energy emergency and then says at the same time that they don't need Canada and he doesn't need Canadian energy, that it doesn't matter. Are you paying attention, folks? Meanwhile, we've got Danielle Smith running down there trying to play nice and suck up to him. He doesn't care. He does not care. And he's saying so right here, because this isn't the goal.
One thing we're going to be demanding is we're going to be demanding respect from other nations. Canada, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. We're not going to have that anymore. We can't do it. I don't know if it's good for them. As you probably know, I say you can always become a state. And if you're a state, we won't have a deficit. We won't have to tariff you, et cetera, et cetera. But Canada has been very tough to deal with over the years, and it's not fair that we should have a $200 billion or $250 billion deficit. We don't need them to make our cars, and they make a lot of them. We don't need their lumber because we have our own forests, et cetera, et cetera. We don't need their oil and gas. We have more than anybody. We do one.
Really, Donald, is that right? Okay, so that's a lie. They don't have a $250 billion deficit with Canada at all. It's not true. The actual deficit with Canada, as I recall, is actually around $40 billion. So, yeah, the U.S. trade deficit with Canada in 2023 was about $41 billion. Now, more recent data suggests variations in that figure. Some sources indicating a deficit of closer to $55 billion last year. Others are mentioning a possible trade surplus for the U.S. when excluding energy products, which ranges anywhere from $45 to $60 billion. So you take energy out of the equation, and the U.S. has a trade surplus with us in a serious way. It's just not true. $200 to $250 billion trade deficit with Canada. It's a load of crap. And Trump has this long history of citing exaggerated or incorrect figures in public statements. I think it's sometimes just because he's just not very bright and is maybe being controlled by somebody behind the scenes. I don't know. But he gets it wrong a lot. And this is very, very wrong. And he tends to conflate or inflate numbers. And he does it just to kind of, I think, sometimes stir things up, make some sort of an exaggerated point for people, for the public. Exaggerating figures like that can, I guess, be a tactic in political rhetoric to dramatize an issue. And by stating such a large deficit number, Trump is possibly, I don't know, trying to rally support for renegotiating the USMCA or imposing tariffs, at the tune of 25% as part of his negotiating strategy. Or maybe he's just playing to his political base. I don't know. But it's wrong. It's just like hugely wrong. It's like not even close to real. But real is, I guess, whatever people believe in their heads. Even complete things that are completely off the wall can become real if people believe them, particularly in the realm of politics. His comments sometimes include elements beyond traditional trade deficits. So for example, he might be including defense spending, where the U.S. supports NATO allies like Canada, or other forms of indirect economic support or perceived subsidies. He talks about the U.S. subsidizing Canada, which is not true. It's just simply false. Now, you can sit there and say, I guess, Donald, that you're subsidizing us because you provide some military protection for us, but that comes with the territory when you're Godzilla and you have the nukes and you don't want your neighbor to be too powerful, even though now you're demanding that we increase our NATO spending, which is fine, and we should, I suppose, to meet our NATO commitments. But what the hell do you care about NATO anyway? You're on the verge of breaking it all apart with the kind of statements you're making today, even at the World Economic Forum. And I'll get to why he's really not anti-W.E.F. at all in a moment. So this is crazy. This is just crazy. And then he turns around. What else did he say there? He says, so first of all, he declares a national energy emergency. So they need energy in the worst way. And so the first thing he does after taking office, as he declares the national energy emergency, he turns around and says, we don't need any energy from Canada. What? Apparently you do, because the other reality check, sir, is Canada supplies 60% of all the oil imports to the United States. That's a reality check for you, sir. But you probably know that. Nevertheless, he has an energy emergency, but he doesn't want Canada's oil. Meanwhile, you've got the Premier of Alberta running down there, kissing his, I wouldn't even say his ring, probably something a little bit smoother than that, and trying to act like she's the savior of Canada. I don't fault her for trying to, defend her province, but right now, Canada is literally under attack. This really does represent an existential threat to the country of Canada. And Canada is not the only country. This whole idea, too, that this is all Canada's fault, or that it's all Justin Trudeau's fault. What a load of crap. Canada did not ask for this. Or people saying, well, it's because we didn't secure the border. This has very little to do with the border, if anything at all. Probably very little, honestly, in the case of Canada. Donald Trump wants to bring, this is the thing, and he's actually said it today in Davos, well, virtually. He said this. And I had conversations with people on the phone today about this, even before he spoke. And I've been thinking about this a lot. Everybody is like, well, we can't have retaliatory tariffs. We can't do this. We can't do that. The people criticizing Team Canada and just the country in general, they're not really offering any solution other than just give Trump what he wants. But you can't give Trump what he wants. Not really. Not entirely. You need some leverage, because what does he really want? He wants manufacturing. He wants Canada's auto industry. Danielle Smith said the other day that she would not, she said it's not fair for Canada to, and I'm paraphrasing, not fair for Canada to ask Alberta to sacrifice for the sake of the country their oil industry or put it on the line. And in the same breath, she said that she would never ask Ontario to put the auto industry on the line. But it's actually the auto industry that is on the line. It has been from the beginning of this, and even before. What do you mean, Rick? What do you mean it's the auto industry? He's talking about oil and the border. Yeah, but he's talking about a 25% across-the-board tariff. He is talking about bringing manufacturing back to the United States. That, you see, tariffs are not a tool really to collect revenue. The real objective behind imposing a tariff, the real way you use a tariff as an economic tool is to use it to repatriate manufacturing or to entice companies to invest in your country and set up manufacturing. And so if you have a country like China, which is subsidizing their electric vehicle industry with government money on a massive scale so that they can flood the world market with vehicles that are priced below the cost of production so that they can undermine the integrity of the market and dominate the market for a while to put competitors out of business, only to then, after putting their competitors out of business, then they can put their prices back up and make the money back later. That's been really the objective and the strategy that China has been using. So what happened with Trump was talking about tariffs. Biden put a 60% tariff on Chinese electric vehicles. Canada followed suit to support what the United States was doing. The idea there is to prevent unfairly subsidized products from flooding your market and putting your people out of work, and force manufacturers to set up factories in your country. That's really what the ultimate goal here is with Trump. He's imposing the 25% tariff. He's not going to collect the money because he knows that as soon as he puts that 25% tariff in place, anything made in Canada becomes unaffordable to people in the United States. So they're just not going to buy it. It effectively shuts down manufacturing in Canada. And he wants all that manufacturing to move to the United States because the companies that produce in Canada will just simply shut down the factories in Canada and open factories in the U.S. In fact, there was a Stellantis plant, I believe, just announced a few days ago that they're moving some production back to the United States. That's the effect that you ultimately want tariffs to have. What industry is going to be affected by that most, and most dramatically? Auto manufacturing. He's after the auto industry. That's what he's really been after down in Mexico as well. Not really thinking through the history of the auto industry, the contributions bilaterally that the industry has made, you know, the way that the original Canada Auto Pact, then the NAFTA deal, then later the USMCA deal, which was negotiated when he was in office the first time with Canada and Mexico. Not really, thinking through, Henry Ford's legacy and just the way that Canada has been generally integrated into the auto industry over all these years, and not paying respect to it. He wants those jobs. He wants that manufacturing all in the United States. He doesn't give a damn about Canada. But it just in the long run does not work. This will be devastating for Canada if he proceeds with this. And it looks like he's damn well serious about it. People, I could not believe it when he was saying all this originally. And people are like, it's just a joke. No, it's not a joke. I said, I don't think he's joking. I've been telling you for 2 years that people like influencers like Tucker Carlson, many others, talking about taking over Canada. It's not a joke. You think it's a joke now because it sure is. He's telling you it's not a joke. And then I'm watching. I don't. I'm tempted to run some of the idiotic clips that I've been hearing from people, and they're like, "Well, gee, Donald Trump went to the W.E.F today, and he says that going to impose this tariff and everything, and then he says that we could become the 51st state, and I just don't know how to feel about it. It's something that we could really entertain, I suppose, but I just don't know how to. You don't know how to feel about it? What kind of Canadian are you? You're maybe not a very good one. I don't know how to feel about it. The guy's being a dick. Well, all we got to do is just have good relations with him. He doesn't care about good relations. He just wants what he wants. He's being a dick. How do you work with that? How do you work with that? And all the politicians are running around like chickens with their heads cut off. Not exactly sure how to respond, but I'll tell you this. I'm glad to see there's some politicians kind of coming together and getting ready to stand up for Canada, regardless of political stripe. It's what we need right now. But I don't know. I'm just amazed at how people just make excuses for this guy who is acting like a complete dick. It's like, please, sir, could you spank me harder? I like the abuse. He's being a dick. You don't treat your friends and your allies like this. And this is very, very real. Oh, we don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber. We don't need anything from Canada. Canada sucks. Yeah, screw you. Not the United States. Screw Donald Trump. Hands off my damn country. We have an economic emergency. That's what we have, because we've always had a very, trusting and mutually prosperous relationship with the United States. It's worked extremely well, I think, for both sides for a long time. And he's blowing it up. He's done it in a matter of days. And what we need is a swift, steady response and a clear-headed strategy to deal with the pending economic crisis. And people who keep saying, well, it's just got to secure the border and just give him what he wants. This isn't just about Canada. Or it's all Justin Trudeau's fault because, he just left us in such a terrible state. It wouldn't matter who the prime minister is. He even said that. He doesn't care if Poilievre wins. He says maybe he'll win, maybe he won't. He doesn't care what he says. He said that. He doesn't care. It's not about who's in power. He just views Canada as this sort of, I think, liberal, woke, progressive country or whatever, and he doesn't much care for us, and it's America first, and he doesn't give a damn. So just bring all the jobs here. Just shut everything down. 25% across the board. Everything coming from Canada. We'll just impose a giant tariff and bring all the manufacturing back to the States. And that's what he's talking about too. And if you can't, and if Canada doesn't want it, then we'll just take over the country and make you the 51st state. We'll just annex you. And then we won't have to tariff you. Yeah, you won't have to because you'll exploit the resources and just extract the wealth. He talks about the debt that the United States has, $37 trillion, which he says is, it's really not, that big of a debt. Yeah, especially when you're going to tax the entire world to pay for it. It's the wrong approach, man. You've already got the world reserve currency. You're going to blow it up. This is not going to work in the long run. And Canada's not alone in this. As I say, he's doing the same thing to Mexico. He's doing the same thing to China. He's treating Denmark and Greenland with absolute disrespect. He's treating Panama with disrespect. Speaking of Denmark, did you see this? Let me see if I can get you this clip. Politician from Denmark. Here we go, right here. Yeah, and I'm kind of on board with this guy now. I was a Trump guy, in a lot of ways. Not endorsing him, but I'm as a conservative. I used to like what I was hearing because to me it seemed like he was going to bring back sort of a Reagan-style administration. First time around, there were elements of that in it, but this ain't that. No siree. Here's this politician from Denmark with a very clear message for Donald Trump over his
Dear President,
his plan to take over Greenland.
Dear President Trump, listen very carefully. Greenland has been part of the Danish kingdom for 800 years. It's an integrated part of our country. It is not for sale. Let me put it in words you might understand. Mr. Trump, fuck off. Dear President...
Yeah, and that's the response you get when you treat people like crap. Don't get mad at me, MAGA people. The guy's being a dick. So instead of being, streamer today says, I don't trust any politician that wants to have any retaliatory actions against the United States. What we need is good relations with the United States and Donald Trump. We had good relations with the United States, at least cordial relations, less so maybe between JT and DJT, but we have always had excellent relationship with the United States since the creation of Canada. Denmark too, NATO, all the European countries, basically we all got along. We're all allies, friends. Now he's got Denmark telling them to F off. That's because it's Donald Trump who's being the dick. Prove me wrong. He's being a dick. Yeah, I'm not buying into this whole thing. I'm so tired of people beating us up. It's like self-flagellation again. It's all our own fault, No, it's not. And I don't know if Donald Trump is even really on the side of the United States at this point. People are saying he is, and he's kind of acting like he's sort of a pro-America. By acting like this, he's undermining the United States. In the long run, even the medium run, and even the short run, he's turned friends and allies into enemies. F off Donald Trump from Denmark. Congratulations, Donald. Congrats. He's latched onto the anti-colonialism rhetoric and ideology, applied that up in Greenland. He's fueling all that, by the way, in order to get to break that country apart so he can take it over. Buy it, just get people to vote to join the United States. He isn't even offering to buy Canada. Well, sort of, by offering, gullible Canadians a tax break in order to convince them to come on side with him. And is this one, I think this is a new clip from Mr. Wonderful, who's been down in the United States, also kissing, not the ring, but something smoother with Donald Trump, Kevin O'Leary. He says the key to translating Trump language is to understand noise and signal. The tariff signal, if you want to call it that, is a negotiating leverage tool because Trump commands the largest market on earth. There's no market larger than the United States. Blah, blah, blah. Let's bring up this this clip because he's got a big platform. He's got a megaphone because they keep putting him on media. He's a commentator. He gets paid to make these comments, and he's also looking to line his pockets, folks, with energy investments that he has and AI investments.
What did you think about what the president had to say about U.S. manufacturing and what companies can expect if they don't make it here?
Well, the key to translating Trump language is to understand noise and signal. So what he basically saying there is, look, and these messages are different for different countries. For example, Mexico, we're going to build a wall. That's coming for sure. But we also want you to make sure you stop sending illegal immigrants from yours and other countries, or you're going to be tariffed. That's the message to the Mexicans. To the Canadians, start spending on security at the northern border and pay your 2% to NATO and stop sending fentanyl from China over the border into the United States, or you're going to face tariffs. That's the signal there. To the Germans, if you don't start making more cars in America, we're going to tariff the you-know-what out of your cars coming here. And on and on for each country. It's the tariff signal, if you want to call it that, is a negotiating leverage tool because Trump commands the largest market on earth. There's no market larger than the United States. For China, it's a whole different kettle of fish. We're in an economic war with China, and that's going to be the most interesting negotiation, whether it's a combination of tariffs and threat of military control, all kinds of stuff there. But he's starting with a message that's very clear. Get in line, do what you said you were going to do, or you're going to face a wicked barrier to come into the world's largest market, and it's going to affect your economy. I heard it loud and clear.
That's not untrue. He's right, but I don't think this guy is the guy to go negotiate with Trump because he's not elected. He doesn't have a mandate. He doesn't represent Canada, but there he was, right next to Danielle Smith, who broke ranks with all the other first ministers in the country and went down there solo, saying, energy's, Mr. Trump is not even a starter. Like, we'll never cut off energy to you. We'll never impose any tariffs. No, I'll give you what you want. It's not on the table. Oil, gas, energy, not on the table. Well, thank you for I'll play poker with Danielle Smith anytime because she just starts off by showing her full hand. I don't disagree with what the Alberta's concerns and complaints for many decades about how their oil and gas industry is not being fully realized because of a lot of barriers to the expansion of pipelines, east and west, et cetera, et cetera. But in this particular case, running down there unilaterally, acting like that, it's very dangerous because it's not only undermining the bargaining position of the entire country, whether they're going to put energy on the table or not. It's dangerous because it splits the country up. It drives a wedge into the country. And it's happening at a time when the country is already kind of unstable in a pretty serious way. So it's not helpful. Not really, not at all. It isn't about the bottom line and where things need to go. It's about the starting point. And this ain't how you start a negotiation. So people who are like, yay, Danielle Smith is the one really fighting for Canada, really, the other people, they just want they're initiating a trade war with Trump. No, they're not. They don't want this. Nobody wants this except Donald Trump. Anybody who thinks otherwise is just standing on their head looking at the world upside down. Like so many other things these days. People just making excuses for this dick. Now, maybe through negotiations we'll end up in a better place. Maybe not. Maybe not. But it's about the auto industry. It really, really is about the auto industry. And we'll come back to that in a moment. But let's go back here. This is, and everybody's like, well, if this politician's been to the World Economic Forum, then I don't want anything to do with that guy. Well, Trump's been there 3 times. This was his 3rd visit, or his 3rd speech to the W.E.F. today. And let me see here. Let me get you the intro, shall I? Yeah. Where Trump's buddy Klaus Schwab has the honors. Let's bring it right over here to the beginning. All right. Mr. Trump, thank you for coming to the World Economic Forum. Here it is. Here's Klaus introducing DJT.
Mr. President,
hello.
What great honor. What great honor and pleasure to welcome you back to the Davos community. Just 4 days into your new mandate, we highly appreciate your presence with us today. We wish you all the best as you take on your critical work ahead. The global challenges we face today are monumental. The importance of American leadership and your personal leadership in this regard is fundamental and paramount. We are here to hear your vision and policies related to revitalizing the economy and addressing the global challenges. As you might expect, Mr. President, your return to office and your forthcoming policies have been at the focus of our discussions this week. The discussions among 3,000 political and business leaders from over 130 countries who came together here in Davos. We look forward hearing first from you and then to the follow-up discussion with business leaders moderated by my colleague Børge Brende. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Yay! Well, thank you very much, Klaus, and hello to everyone in beautiful Davos. This has been a truly historic week in the United States. 3 days ago, I took the oath of office, and we began the golden age of America. The recent presidential election was won by millions of votes, and all 7, every one of them, all 7 swing states. It was a massive mandate from the American people like hasn't been seen in many years, and some of the political pundits, even some of my so-called enemies, said it was the most consequential election victory in 129 years. That's quite nice. What the world has witnessed in the past 72 hours is nothing less than a revolution of common sense. Our country will soon be stronger, wealthier, and more united than ever before, and the entire planet will be more peaceful and prosperous as a result of this incredible momentum and what we're doing and going to do. My administration is acting with unprecedented speed to fix the disasters we've inherited from a totally inept group of people and to solve every single crisis facing our country. This begins with confronting the economic chaos caused by the failed policies of the last administration. Over the past 4 years, our government racked up $8 trillion in wasteful deficit spending and inflicted nation-wrecking energy restrictions, crippling regulations, and hidden taxes like never before. The result is the worst inflation crisis in modern history and sky-high interest rates for our citizens and even throughout the world. Food prices and the price of almost every other thing known to mankind went through the roof. President Biden totally lost control of what was going on in our country, but in particular with our high inflation economy and at our border. Because of these ruinous policies, total government spending this year is $1.5 trillion higher than was projected to occur when I left office just 4 years ago. Likewise, the cost of servicing the debt is more than 230% higher than was projected in 2020. The inflation rate we are inheriting remains 50% higher than the historic target. It was the highest inflation probably in the history of our country. That's why from the moment I took office, I've taken rapid action to reverse each and every one of these radical left policies that created this calamity, in particular with immigration, crime, and inflation. On day one, I signed an executive order directing every member of my cabinet to marshal all powers at their disposal to defeat inflation and reduce the cost of daily life. I imposed a federal hiring freeze, a federal regulation freeze, a foreign aid freeze, and I created the new Department of Government Efficiency. I terminated the ridiculous and incredibly wasteful Green New Deal. I call it the Green New Scam. Withdrew from the one-sided Paris Climate Accord and ended the insane and costly electric vehicle mandate. We're going to let people buy the car they want to buy. I declared a national energy emergency, and that's so important, national energy emergency to unlock the liquid gold under our feet and pave the way for rapid approvals of new energy infrastructure. The United States has the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we're going to use it. Not only will this reduce the cost of virtually all goods and services, it'll make the United States a manufacturing superpower and the world capital of artificial intelligence and crypto. My administration has also begun the largest deregulation campaign in history, far exceeding even the record-setting efforts of my last term. In total, the Biden administration imposed $50,000 in additional regulatory costs on the average American household over the last 4 years. I have promised to eliminate 10 old regulations for every new regulation, which will soon put many thousands of dollars back in the pockets of American families. To further unleash our economy, our majorities in the House and Senate, which we also took along with the presidency, are going to pass the largest tax cut in American history, including massive tax cuts for workers and family, and big tax cuts for domestic producers and manufacturers. And we're working with the Democrats on getting an extension of the original Trump tax cuts, as you probably know.
That's the key. It's the tax cuts. That's another incentive to bring manufacturing back to the United States. He's not really being entirely honest about inflation, because inflation has been coming down. In fact, the inflation rate right now in the United States is about 2.5 to 2.9%, and this will surprise many people, but the inflation rate in Canada now is actually about 1.8%. 1.8. Now, it was much, much higher, especially during and after the pandemic, because of all the money printing and the government support programs that were in place. But since then, a lot has been done to recover. And the truth of the matter is the United States, even right now, has an economy that is much stronger than all of the negative Nellies out there would have you believe, including him. He needs to paint a pretty dark picture in order to make it look like later he's saved everything. But the truth of the matter is that's where your inflation rate is. And that represents actually a very healthy economy in terms of inflation, because you always want, in this kind of economic system, an inflation rate of around 2%. If you maintain that, that ensures liquidity of money in the market. It means there's enough money in the market so that there's always cash out there for people to get paid, for transactions to be taking place, and it supplies the market. And that's because you need to put always a little bit more money into the economy to account for growth. So the bottom line is inflation right now is not sky high, out of control, like it was even maybe, a year ago and in years prior to that. And during the pandemic, it was the policies of Trump and the relief efforts and the money printing that took place under him that fueled a lot of the inflation, the sky high inflation that we got as a response, as a result of his response to dealing with the pandemic. No question, the economy was very good under him for a while, but then when the world was hit with the COVID, the pandemic, all governments in the world started printing money like it was going out of style, the U.S. included, and the United States did that too. So the inflation was largely, at that time, and even residually, the result of his policies. And I hate to tell you that, because I don't like to. I was on Team Trump in terms of the economy for a long time too, but that's the reality. What he's saying here is just not accurate. And again, talks about declaring the energy emergency, and then says the United States has more energy than any other place in the world. Again, I don't really think that's entirely true. That's why to illustrate that, you just have to look at the fact that in the States they do a lot of fracking. They have to rejuvenate old oil wells. They inject clean water down into the ground and contaminate the hell out of it in order to force oil out of the shale and back up so that they can get the oil. That's why the United States was able to revitalize their oil industry. It's because of fracking. And that's not really good for the environment at all. And that can cause all kinds of other issues environmentally, even earthquakes. People here worry about earthquakes and HARP. No, fracking causes earthquakes because it creates pressure under the earth, intense pressure. And that's how they force the oil out of the ground from old wells that would otherwise be retired. And so he declares a national energy emergency, but then in the same breath says, oh, we don't need any energy from Canada. Screw Canada. What the hell is that about? No, they need the energy from Canada. 60% of their oil imports from Canada. Then also today, you know what he talked about? He talked about Saudi Arabia. He says Saudi Arabia needs, and OPEC, the oil producing countries over in Middle East, Saudi Arabia needs to bring the price of oil down. That means he needs them to increase oil production. Why? He says that it's Saudi Arabia. He's blaming, do I have the clip of that? He's blaming the war in Ukraine on Saudi Arabia. Why? Because of restricted oil output, which increases oil prices because it reduces supply on the world market. And so he's calling on Saudi Arabia to decrease the price of oil by increasing production. He needs the oil to then, he wants to crash the price of oil, which is part of his energy emergency. See, if he forces the price of oil down, then Russia, which is largely dependent on oil and gas revenues, then that puts increased economic pressure on them, and that gives him a more leverage heading into negotiations. He doesn't have much time, though. since he wants these talks to take place very quickly, but he wants the price to tank. He wants to control the energy market, the oil and gas market. And that's also why he needs Canada, even though he's saying he doesn't. He's lying. He's just straight up lying. He needs Canada's oil. He needs all the oil he can get. Canada's included. And that's why it should be something that remains on the table, because we sell our oil below market rate. Traditionally, we sell our oil to the United States at about $10 to $20 a barrel less than the market price. And there have been times when we have sold oil as much as like $40 a barrel lower than market price. That's one of the reasons it has always been a little bit difficult to get investment into the oil industry out in Alberta, because all the oil there sells for less than it would if it was heading into other markets. Why? Because the pipelines, the other reason, there are a couple of main reasons. It's because the oil coming out of Alberta is from the oil sands, and it is heavy oil. It costs more to produce it, or to refine it. So they sell it at a bit of a discount for that reason. And the other reason is because the pipelines run down into the United States, not east-west, and we have difficulty getting our energy to other international markets. Well, now, gee, why is that? Well, it's our own fault, Rick, because we didn't build these pipelines east to west. Yeah, but you know what? It's like I've said in nights past. It's because you have environmental action groups, you have political groups, you have First Nations, you have people who have stood in the way, and even other provinces, opposing the pipelines being built from east to west across Canada. And if you really look at why, the anti-oil environmental activists, they get funding for their groups. Where does that come from? You follow the money, you'll find that it goes back to international organizations that a lot of them get their money from foreign governments, oil-producing countries, if you really trace the money right back. And so it's actually completely disingenuous in many cases. They're not opposing the pipelines because they want to save the environment. They're using that as a cover so that we don't get to build the pipelines, so that we have to build the pipelines down into the States. So we have only a single customer, and therefore we end up we have less demand for our product, and so they'll buy it from us. But you know what? You really can't sell it to anybody else because you can't even get it to market. So we'll buy it from you, but how about you just give us a bit of a break on the price? And then Trump says that we're the ones ripping them off and that he's subsidizing us. No, Alberta, you've been subsidizing the U.S. and blaming it on Canada when, in fact, there are international forces at play here, and maybe even political corruption within our country, and you blame our politicians, and you've got foreign influence right inside our own government even now, but everybody blames Canada, blames the Canadian system, the Canadian government, when really you have to go to the head of the snake to deal with the problem. And to some degree, I would say, maybe even the greatest degree, it looks to me like the snake is looking us right in the eye as we speak. But it's a difficult thing for people to understand because it's not straight up in front of you. It's not in your face. It's cloaked. The real mechanisms, the dynamics, the things going on behind the scenes, you don't see who's really pulling the levers and who's really in control. So people get confused. It's easy to be confused. And then you layer on top of that misinformation, information warfare, and outright lies, sometimes from the snake that's staring you right in the eye, saying that you have a $250 billion trade deficit with them and that you're ripping them off. And you're like, well, gee, he's got a point there, except that it's not true. And yeah, maybe it is a negotiating tactic. Who knows how it's going to play out? But this isn't the way that friends and allies treat allies. This is adversarial. counterproductive, no need for it. He's pissing off the world as he lights it on fire. And he's not joking. And we should be pushing back. What else are we supposed to do? He doesn't care. You can't even just capitulate to this guy. You can't just say, okay, whatever you want. Unless you say, okay, we give up, we surrender, not a shot fired, just go ahead and take over the country. Or maybe more to the point, it'll split the country up and he'll take the part of Canada that he wants and leave the rest. And in the process, take the So, take Alberta because the resources are in the ground there. Maybe BC and take the lumber. I don't know. Won't want the voters there, though. They'll vote left if he even gives them voting rights. And then the other half of the country, he'll probably just cut it loose. Doesn't want it. He'll just take the auto industry and bring those companies over into the U.S. And Canada can pound salt. What is it about the auto industry? Well, Canada, the problem for Canada is we just don't have the population to support and sustain our own auto industry. We're just not big enough. We haven't been big enough. It wasn't long ago. We only had 20 million people in the country. And so, as I studied economics in university, the lesson there was that Canada, with the auto industry, could have an auto industry. We could make our own cars, but we would only really have domestically, if we were just on our own, maybe one or two models of cars. And we would all be driving the same kind of car, basically. But because we've been able to work with the United States towards something mutually beneficial, we've been able to produce and have access to a wide range of models because the United States is 10 times bigger in terms of population than Canada. So we've been producing vehicles since the beginning of the automotive industry, since its creation in the early 1900s. And that's because there's a whole supply chain that was set up to produce parts, and factories were set up, and there was cross-border action that went on, and Canada benefited from content rules. 60% Canadian content on some vehicles made here at one point. And they did that by making sure that, Canadian-made tires or windshield wipers or other components were slapped on some of these vehicles. And then a lot of the, in vehicles going to the States would sometimes not have those same kinds of tires going back over to the U.S. side, but the cars were still manufactured here, and a lot of cars were made from Detroit. And then we would maybe sometimes buy models that were produced on the U.S. side, and they would buy sometimes models that are produced in the Canadian side. And over time, the industry has evolved, but it's because we've had access to the U.S. market that allows us to have a variety of different vehicles made up here, and that we've been able to buy different kinds of vehicles. But with the 25% tariff, the whole objective there is to get these plants to shut down and get manufacturing out of Windsor, out of Oshawa, out of Oakville. Shut those plants down, get the manufacturing to move over onto the U.S. side. And it'll hollow out the entire auto industry here if that's what goes down. Canada over time, in order to remain efficient and competitive, we have developed, we've put together some of the most advanced auto manufacturing facilities in the world. Case in point, Oshawa GM Assembly. Now, this is a story from my automotive show that was done, how many years ago? 11 years ago now. But this highlights, time flies, what Oshawa is all about. This is like one of the most advanced manufacturing facilities in the world. A flex line is what they call it. And in Oshawa, they've been able to manufacture a number of different kinds of vehicles all at the same time on the assembly line. I'm going to run this for you so you can understand why we're actually a great partner for the United States and have been for a long time, but how difficult it is, because even with this kind of advanced manufacturing, this goes way beyond what Henry Ford ever did with the assembly line. Even with all of that, Oshawa had to shut down back in, I think it was 2018, 2019. They still ended up shutting that plant down because demand for vehicles overall had dipped. Now it's back in production now. They're manufacturing trucks there again. But this is a story that shows you how auto manufacturing in Ontario is actually very efficient and deserves to survive, not just be scooped up and sent over to the U.S.
You are looking at one of the most advanced assembly facilities in the world. This is a flex line, allowing General Motors to build a wide range of different vehicles here all at the same time.
So how advanced is this plant? I would say that Oshawa really represents a state-of-the-art manufacturing facility. The true design intention of a flexible manufacturing line is to be able to build multiple vehicle styles, and we're certainly demonstrating that here in Oshawa.
So, like you were saying, this plant has something called the flex line. Can you elaborate on that?
We do. In 2008, we went through a major conversion here at the plant to convert our facility to a state-of-the-art flexible manufacturing line. And what's interesting about this type of assembly line is we're able to build multiple styles of vehicle architectures and body styles. In fact, the flex line is capable of building 3 unique body architectures and 6 different unique body styles, which is critically important for flexibility in order to be able to respond to the market.
The flex line builds efficiency into the factory through flexibility. It allows General Motors to respond quickly to changing market demands, almost immediately, by ramping up production of one model while cutting back on the production of another. Digital technology makes it all possible, with computers making adjustments for each component, making sure Camaro parts go on Camaros, Cadillac parts go on Cadillacs, and so on. But responding to the market does put a lot of pressure on suppliers to get their parts on the factory quickly after an order has been placed. Suppliers are given just 4 hours notice to ship out parts, taking just-in-time delivery systems to a whole new level.
So we are actually building 7 different unique vehicles here at the plant. So that means we are kitting and sequencing a huge volume of parts at the assembly facility. We actually handle over 11,000 individual part numbers at the plant. So we have a facility just to the south of us that actually acts as an intermediary that receives all of the parts from different countries all around the world, and we consolidate them and kit them so that we can organize and sequence the parts for presentation to our team members. So at any one time in the plant, we generally only have about 3 to 4 hours worth of inventory. So the inventory is constantly flowing through the facility to maximize efficiency and reduce our inventory for cost perspective.
General Motors has a rich history in Oshawa. The automaker is still one of the community's biggest employers.
Can you tell me a bit about the history of the plant here? Sure. Canada has a rich history of building outstanding world-class high-quality vehicles. In fact, the Oshawa Assembly Plant has been in operation since 1953. This is our 60th anniversary this year of building high-quality vehicles, and we're really excited to be added the all-new next-generation Chevrolet Impala to that rich heritage that we have here. It actually just launched last month. The Chevrolet Impala is now built on the same assembly line as the Chevrolet Camaro, the Buick Regal, and the recently launched Cadillac XTS.
And how many vehicles do you build here in a day or in a year?
So last year alone at this facility, we produced just over 400,000 vehicles. On the flexible manufacturing line, we are just about to add a 3rd shift to support increased volume for the Cadillac XTS and the Impala. And at the end of May, we will be at full 3-shift volume, producing just over 1,100 vehicles a day at our plant.
How big is this assembly plant?
So we have a very large facility here at the Oshawa Assembly Plant, and we have just over 9 million square feet of floor space.
Excellent. And how many people are employed here?
We have about 4,000 employees. 3,500 of those are hourly employees represented by CAW Local 222, and we have about 500 members of our management team.
The flex line is critical to the success of General Motors. It's a huge investment for a company that is likely to pay huge dividends, not just in profits for a company that is making a comeback, but also in job security for GM employees in Oshawa.
That was Colleen McCubbin, and yours truly did the camera work on that report. And yeah, things seem like they're about to change in a pretty dramatic way. The world is changing, and in ways that, I'm not really happy about, to be quite frank, in a lot of ways. But, technology is changing and AI is changing. Hang on a second here. Now, what am I getting at here? AI. Remember the other day? Was it yesterday or the day before? I'm losing track of the days now already. We're in day 4 of the Trump administration. And I think it was day 2. Maybe it was yesterday. Maybe. No, it was the day before. Whatever. At that news conference. And Trump announced a new AI project, Project Stargate, with the guys from OpenAI, SoftBank, and Oracle. $500 billion investment. They have, I think, $300 billion lined up so far. Elon Musk feuding with especially Sam Altman of OpenAI, saying those guys don't really have the money. But Trump is there. But here's the thing. You guys are also concerned about, what happened during the pandemic and what happened with the thing in the arm, right? And the mRNA technology. Well, what do you think they're talking about here? Remember the other day? What are they doing? This is the guy that is supposed to save us, right? And he's working with these guys who are going to use AI to create a new vaccine or bunch of new vaccines, custom vaccines, using artificial intelligence in the span of just 48 hours for people. And Trump is like, hey, go for it, guys.
US President Donald Trump has announced private sector investment of up to $500 billion to fund AI infrastructure. He spoke in Washington alongside the bosses of tech firms OpenAI, SoftBank, and Oracle.
Together, these world-leading technology giants are announcing the formation of Stargate. So put that name down in your books, because I think you're going to hear a lot about it in the future. A new American company that will invest $500 billion at least in AI infrastructure in the United States, and very, very quickly, moving very rapidly, creating over 100,000 American jobs almost immediately.
Stargate will be a Texas-based joint venture between the firms. $100 billion in funding is committed for now, with more expected to come over the next 4 years. Masayoshi Son, the chief executive of Japanese investment giant SoftBank, had already promised Trump billions in investment. And Oracle chief Larry Ellison said the new project was actually well advanced.
The data centers are actually under construction. The first of them are under construction in Texas. Each building's 500,000 square feet. There are 10 buildings currently being built, but that will expand to 20.
The announcement on Trump's second day in office follows the rolling back of former President Joe Biden's executive order on artificial intelligence. That had aimed to reduce the risks AI poses to consumers, workers, and national security. Now the Stargate venture comes as the new tech demands vast extra computing resources. That is pushing demand for specialized data centers that enable tech firms to link thousands of chips together in clusters. It wasn't immediately clear whether Stargate was a new venture or an update on one previously reported. Last March, tech website The Information said that OpenAI and Microsoft were working on a data center project with the same name.
But that isn't what concerns some people. What concerns some people is the medical applications that are already being discussed. And here's the head of Oracle again talking about creating custom mRNA vaccines to combat things like cancer and other diseases And they once they do a blood test on you, they'll develop a vaccine for you with using mRNA technology, customized with AI in 48 hours. Remember Operation Warp Speed? Well, this is Operation Warp Speed, turbocharged, I guess.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the most exciting things we're working on, using the tools that Sam and Masa are providing, is a cancer vaccine. It's very interesting. It turns out, I'll be quick, all of our cancers, cancer tumors, little fragments of those tumors float around in your blood. So you can do early cancer detection. If you can do using AI, you can do early cancer detection with a blood test. And using AI to look at the blood test, you can find the cancers that are actually seriously threatening the person. So we can, again, cancer diagnosis using AI has the promise of just being a simple blood test. Then beyond that, once we gene sequence that cancer tumor, you can then vaccinate the person, design a vaccine for every individual person to vaccinate them against that cancer. And you can make that vaccine, that mRNA vaccine, you can make that robotically, again using AI, in about 48 hours. So imagine early cancer detection, the development of a cancer vaccine for your particular cancer aimed at you, and have that vaccine available in 48 hours. This is the promise of AI and the promise of the future.
So the guy that gave you Operation Warp Speed is the guy that's supposed to be the guy who is going to save us. And he's not supposed to be, he pulls out of the World Health Organization, but he's the father of the vax. And now everybody's concerned about that. And they don't like people that go to the W.E.F, but he's been there 3 times and he speaks there again today. And this is coming off a day of a bunch of executive orders, a couple of days after he has that news conference announcing that he's pushing ahead with new applications for mRNA technology coupled with other new technology, AI, so that it's all new stuff. What could possibly go wrong? And then today in the Oval Office, he's signing more executive orders, and this is another executive order of some kind that he signs here. I'll go to this video where he's working or declaring that the United States is going to be the world capital for artificial intelligence. But he's not really part of the W.E.F.
Some executive orders. They're very important in just about every case. And it will go through the first one, please.
Do you want to? Yeah, Mr. President, this is an executive order on crypto. We're going to be. Oh, sorry, we're doing that. Oh, sorry, Mr. President, this is an executive order on AI. We're basically announcing the administration's policy to make America the world capital in artificial intelligence and to dominate and to lead the world in AI.
Do you want to say your name, your full name?
David Sachs, AI and Crypto Czar.
David is one of the greatest in the world at AI. Most respected, probably, there is. So that should take us to the forefront, right?
Absolutely. We got to win.
Okay. Thank you.
So the question is, what kind of checks and balances are in place? What's being done to make sure that we're dealing with things ethically, responsibly? We've seen just in the last 24 hours, Elon Musk come out and say that he doesn't trust Sam Altman. He's worried about the safety aspects of artificial intelligence. Trump's signing off on all these executive orders, having news conferences. pulling in all this investment. I hope that things are being done safely. I hope that there are checks and balances in place, but we don't even know. It's full steam ahead, ladies and gentlemen. And we just came off, lockdowns and everything else. But everybody just gives this guy a pass, like he can do no wrong. He's basically declaring economic war on my country. And people are like, well, it's our own fault. Is it? Oh, and here we are. Yeah, and here he is saying that he's restored free speech. We'll see about that. Here he is at the World Economic Forum, speaking virtually, but nevertheless addressing the W.E.F. today, saying he has restored free speech.
Information or disinformation, which are the favorite words of censors and those who wish to stop the free exchange of ideas and, frankly, progress. We have saved free speech in America, and we've saved it strongly. With another historic executive order this week, I also ended the weaponization of law enforcement against the American people and, frankly, against politicians, and restored the fair, equal, and impartial rule of law. My administration has taken action to abolish all discriminatory diversity, equity, and inclusion nonsense, and these are policies that were absolute nonsense throughout the government and the private sector. With the recent yet somewhat unexpected great Supreme Court decision just made, America will once again become a merit-based country.
Okay, whatever, fair enough, but, restored free speech, bringing integrity back to elections. This is a guy who has somebody in the Oval Office with him who spent over $270 million to get him elected. And Elon Musk now apparently could have his assets seized by France because they're accusing him of election interference. Because, of course, he owns Twitter, he owns X, and he can manipulate information. And is that free speech? I don't know. This is a whole new thing. It's all new technology. You can win or you can control elections with the flow of information, especially if you own or control one of the major social media platforms. If you're not neutral, if you can adjust your algorithms in particular ways, you can make sure that some information is suppressed, you can shadow ban some stuff, and you can amplify other messages. You see, this is where the power is. That's why Kevin O'Leary wants to buy TikTok for $20 billion. Donald Trump used to say that they need to ban TikTok. You don't have to go back very far in history to get the clips of him saying we have to ban TikTok. It's a national security risk. Biden and his administration did ban TikTok. It took effect just before Trump came into office, but then he left enforcement to Trump, and then Trump turns around and now he's reinstated TikTok, brought it back, or so he says, and that's making a lot of people cheer. But there are conditions on that, and it looks like what are the conditions? Trump wants the United States to own 50% of TikTok. So that's kind of like a shakedown of the Chinese company that owns TikTok in order to take 50% of the platform. And then I don't know, so if the government, is that going to be government owned, or how does all that work? And what does this really mean about free speech in America? Is it truly free speech? Has he really restored free speech? I'm skeptical. When I think back to the way it was during his first administration and after the way I see him acting right now, there was a lot of censorship that was taking place even when he was in office. And then he was, largely ineffective in combating it while he was the president the last time. So he seems to have hit the ground running this time. But with the way he's treating his friends, we don't need enemies. Here's Trudeau today responding to questions about all of this. Here we go. I'm getting him. Here comes JT.
Prime Minister, Donald Trump says NATO countries should spend 5% on defense. Can you address his comments, please?
Over the past number of years, we brought Canada's defense spending up from below 1%, where it was under the previous Conservative government, to a path towards full 2% in the coming years. We have close to tripled projected defense spending since 2015, and we're going to continue to work with our NATO partners to make sure that we're doing everything necessary to keep Canada safe. The next NATO meeting is in Netherlands in The Hague, but Canada has a strong track to invest in protecting the North, protecting Canadians in a complicated
Is
world.
5% unrealistic? Is it unrealistic?
Ils disent qu'ils n'ont pas besoin du Canada. M. Trump vient de dire que les États-Unis n'ont pas besoin du Canada.
M. Trump a promis un boom économique, un âge d'or pour l'économie américaine dans les années à venir. Pour réussir à avoir un boom économique, ils vont avoir besoin de plus d'énergie, plus de minerais, incluant des minerais critiques. Ils vont avoir besoin de plus des choses que le Canada est actuellement en train de leur envoyer. Nous, on va être là pour en faire plus. Donald Trump suggère qu'il voudrait amener des tarifs sur le Canada, que ce soit... They're going to need more energy, more minerals. Ça va. Citoyens américains. Donc, ce serait une erreur, mais s'il veut absolument aller de l'avant, on va avoir la réponse nécessaire. Mais nous, on travaille pour être là en tant que partenaire fiable, être là pour pouvoir continuer de travailler avec les Américains dans un monde incertain. Donald Trump has announced that he wants a golden age for the American economy. That means they're going to need more energy, more minerals, more steel and aluminum, more lumber, more concrete, more of the things that Canada is already sending them as a reliable and trustworthy partner. If he does move forward on tariffs on Canada, as he has said, whether it be back on January 20th or on February 1st or February 15th as a Valentine's Day present, or on April 1st, or whenever he says he's going to do it, as he keeps repeating, two things will happen. One, Canada will have a strong, robust response, because we don't want this, but we will respond if necessary. And two, prices for American consumers on just about everything will go up. And we don't think he wants that. So we're going to be there. He has talked about the border as being a great preoccupation for him. We have highlighted that less than 1% of illegal drugs coming into the United States, less than 1% of migrants going into the United States come from Canada. But we're still investing over $1 billion in strengthening our borders. And as an illustration of what we've been saying all along, Toronto Police and the Border Services Agency just seized about 835 kilograms of cocaine coming in from the United States into Canada via Mexican cartels. So we have challenges at our border on both sides of the border, and we are there to work constructively with them on those issues.
It's true.
Now on,
you don't have to like the guy, but it's true.
And against dollar for dollar response. Who speaks for Canada vis-a-vis?
The federal government has continued to say clearly, as I will, that everything is on the table. But our efforts are first and foremost to make sure that tariffs don't come on Canada. It would be bad for Canada, yes, but it would also be bad for American consumers. And that's why we are continuing to make the case that rather than restrict the goods coming from Canada, the U.S. should be working even more with Canada on our energy, on our critical minerals, on the goods that they need to be able to have the economic growth that Donald Trump has promised. That is our first choice. Next, if they do move forward on tariffs, we are ready to respond in a strong way, but in a way that will be stepping up gradually with one goal, not to figure out how to manage these tariffs and live with them over the long term, but to figure out how to get them removed as quickly as possible, and on that, everything is on the table.
Madame Freeland fait marche arrière sur le gain capital. Qu'est-ce que vous pensez de ça?
Comme j'ai dit, je ne ferai pas de commentaires basés sur...
Okay, so...
Pouvoir aller, Madame Smith, à la lumière des discussions que vous avez eues avec les premiers ministres territoriaux provinciaux.
Pour les États-Unis, qui encouragent...
Thank you for the question, and I'm really glad to be
Oh,
here
you'll
today
love
to be
listening to
meeting with
Christy.
my caucus colleagues. I am so grateful to the colleagues who have been supporting me. I want to highlight, I'm especially grateful to the people who bring the caucus together, do the hard work in our caucus, the workhorses.
Enough. Okay. Again, you don't have to like JT. You don't have to like Doug Ford. You don't have to like Mr. Eby out in British Columbia. But I love my country. And right now, we need to say, we need to put partisan politics aside, and it has to be all hands on deck to save the damn country, because it's that serious. And if you can't see that the real threat is Mr. Trump, then you might just be under some sort of weird mind control or something, because it's demonstrably true. It's just obvious. I'm not going to sit here and defend that. I'm just not gonna. Other notable things that Trump did today, though, he signed an executive order that will result in the declassification of all the documents. I think all the documents, maybe all the documents, all the JFK files. All right, let's go to that one, shall we? Here we go. This is something everybody's been waiting for, but I'll tell you this, it's going to further destabilize the country, in my view, just a little bit, because it won't matter what comes out. The conspiracy theories, the truth, whatever it is, well, we're never going to dig down and really get to the actual truth of the matter, I don't think, because even if we have the truth staring us right in the face in these files, people still won't believe it.
So they're all in prison now?
Some are.
This is
some
unrelated.
are out of custody.
It's ridiculous. Okay.
Lastly, sir, we have an executive order ordering the declassification of files relating to the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
That's a big one, huh? A lot of people are waiting for this for years, for decades. And everything will be revealed.
Everything.
Okay? Give that to RFK Jr.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Okay, thank you very
Mr.
much.
Mr. President, a U.S. judge temporarily blocks the birthright citizenship order. Do you have any reaction?
No, obviously we'll appeal it. They put it before a certain judge in Seattle, I guess, right? And there's no surprises with that judge.
Mr. President, Senators Collins and Murkowski have now said they will vote against Pete Hegseth. Are you worried about his confirmation and your reaction?
No, he made it through. So that was the end of that. The birthright citizenship thing, though, that, I don't know about that. This, that executive order, I don't know if that's constitutional. There's another one. If you're born, even if you're born in the United States, you do not necessarily get citizenship. That's a major change. U.S. District Judge John C. Kugenauer ruled on the case, brought by the states of Washington, Arizona, Illinois, and Oregon, which argue the 14th Amendment and Supreme Court case law have cemented birthright citizenship. So this case is one of 5 lawsuits being brought by 22 states and a number of immigrants' rights groups across the country. And these lawsuits involve personal testimonies from attorneys general who are U.S. citizens by birthright, and it also names pregnant women who are afraid their children won't become U.S. citizens. This is all about the deportation stuff, and I don't know where this goes ultimately. Like, if you're born in the United States, you've been afforded U.S. citizenship, but this is really about like saying, even if you're born here, you don't automatically get rights. And the U.S. is, I think there are about 30 countries around the world that have that rule. If you're born there, you get citizenship. Now, there's a key case that involves birthright citizenship back in 1898. And the Supreme Court at that time set the precedent because they held that Wong Kim Ark, who was born in San Francisco to Chinese immigrants, was a U.S. citizen because he was born in the country. After a trip abroad, he did face being denied re-entry by the federal government on the grounds that he wasn't a citizen under the Chinese Exclusion Act. But then, through the legal system, it was determined that indeed he is an American citizen because he was born in the country, and that is the way it has been. This, just with a stroke of a pen, Trump is trying to change that, stripping children born in the country of their citizenship. Where is that going to go? Well, it's going to go out onto the streets, I would say, and that's what we're seeing even tonight. We've been seeing over the past 2 days ICE agents executing warrants. I don't even know if they need a warrant based on the executive orders that Trump has issued in order to round up people that they say are illegal immigrants. Do I have I think I have video here of one of the major arrests. Today they were in Boston. Yeah, here we go. I've got it for you. I know they were in action. The ICE agents were in action the other day in Chicago, now in Boston. Here's the way it went down. Here we go.
This afternoon, NBC 10 saw multiple unmarked SUVs here. 5 people, some wearing vests that said police federal agents on the back, went inside one of the apartment buildings. 2 agents waited outside, 1 person taken into custody that we saw. Whether this is connected to President Trump's effort to root out illegal immigrants, something he has promised to do, is unknown. We also saw federal agents at a building on Lexington Street, also here in East Boston. A witness there told us she saw 1 person arrested. There's roughly 11 million undocumented people around the country. President Trump has said the priority is finding and deporting those with criminal backgrounds. This afternoon.
So that's all going on, and yes, indeed, there have been, this is related to what Trump is doing with his deportation plan, and millions of people, being caught up in all of this. And that's why you saw that bishop address this during the ceremony at the church during the inauguration the other day. And I have to say, I am again, kind of disappointed again in the way Trump responded to this. Regardless of where you stand on the deportation issue, where you stand on issues of like, LGBTQS plus rights and progressive policies, the bishop stood up in church. This is Bishop Marianne Edgar Buddy, and she basically just said to the president, there are a lot of scared people out there, and you need to be kind. She pleaded with him and urged him to be merciful as he went forward with his agenda. And here she is responding further to that in an interview.
My responsibility that morning, yesterday morning, was to reflect, to pray with the nation for unity. And as I was pondering what are the foundations of unity, I wanted to emphasize respecting the honor and dignity of every human being, basic honesty and humility. And then I also realized that that unity requires a certain degree of mercy and compassion and understanding. And so knowing that a lot of people, as I said, in our country right now are really scared, I wanted to take the opportunity in the context of that service for unity to say we need to treat everyone with dignity. And we need to be merciful. And I was trying to counter the narrative that is so divisive and polarizing, and in which real people are being harmed.
Okay. Politics aside, man, human beings, everybody deserves to be treated with respect. Even if they're in the country illegally, you still have to treat them with respect, even as you deport them. I don't think it's unreasonable for someone to ask for compassion and mercy. And yet I've seen people just aggressively attacking, verbally online and even in news programs, the bishop. Now, the bishop, you could argue that maybe she's politicizing things and maybe she's too woke or whatever you want to say. But at the end of the day, what did she really say? Please be kind. Please be compassionate. Please be merciful. I don't think that's too much to ask of the President of the United States, a man who really is the most powerful human being on the planet, at least fleetingly, for 4 years.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay. That's the way it is. I don't care how many of you are attacking me in the chat. I haven't looked. And I don't care if you're just sitting there making excuses for Donald Trump or Elon Musk or anybody else. Justin Trudeau. I don't care. It is what it is, man. And you don't have to agree with me. You don't have to agree with Anybody. You just go off and do whatever you want. You want to attack me, go ahead. I'm sure that the chat right now is just overflowing with people who hate my guts. Dare I look? Dare I go to the phones? Let me just take a quick look in the chat. There's Tinfoil Hat says, I don't give a damn t-shirt, Rick. Yeah, well, maybe we got to look at that. Maybe we should. And Bond says, you're okay, Rick. Thank you. Thanks. Look, man, for the people who are, still Trumpers, I get it. I get it. But I'm sorry. I'm a Canadian, and I love my country. And that is the bottom line. So, and also, just some of the other stuff going on right now with Greenland and Mexico and everything else. And I see the cracks, even within the MAGA movement itself. I predicted that too. I said that it would be very difficult to keep the MAGA movement together because populist movements are generally dysfunctional. And indeed, that's what we're getting. Steve Bannon fighting with Elon Musk. Elon Musk fighting with the Vivek Ramaswamy. Yeah. Oh, yeah, they are. Make no mistake. Vivek is no longer part of Doge. He kind of got turfed. There was internal friction between him and Elon on how the Department of Government Efficiency should be run. And now he's out. He's going to run for a governor in whatever state it is. And he's running for office again. And just right at the end of the inauguration, there was a split announced. And so Elon has the whole Doge to himself. What could go wrong? The guy who scoops up all world record government contracts, in charge of making sure that nobody abuses government contracts. Are you starting to clue in? Oh my God. Yeah. Greenland. Patty says Greenland. You mean Green America? It looks like we're going that way. Why stop with the Gulf of America when you can go all the way to the Arctic? Take it all. Take the whole hemisphere. Yeah. And who's this? This is Patty saying Vivek is a globalist. She's glad he's gone. Is he a globalist? I don't know. He seemed pretty conservative to me in everything that he was saying, even now. He doesn't, and he's not complaining about what happened. I went to his social media page yesterday on X to see what he's posting, and he's being pretty quiet about it. I have to really wonder what was really at play there. But he's not in anymore. Got kicked to the curb. And Trump let him go. Not really cool. Bottom line is we haven't done anything to the United States to deserve any of this. We really haven't. And that GM auto manufacturing plant, that's a valuable tool. But, they'll just shut it down, move everything to the States. We're looking at hundreds of thousands of jobs on the line. Hundreds of thousands of jobs in Canada. We have an economic emergency on our hands, and people are still laughing about it. Or I don't think it hasn't sunk in what the impact from this would be if this goes ahead. And it isn't really just about, Trudeau sat there and said it's about getting those tariffs removed as quickly as possible. No, that's not what's going to happen. The tariffs, when they're imposed, will be there. But the impact is going to be that the manufacturing will shut down altogether and the factories will be moved to the United States. it will be devastating for Canada. And in the long run, it's not going to benefit the United States. Do you know why? Who's he going to sell the stuff to? If the United States has all the money, Canada's impoverished, is he going to sell us the cars? We won't be able to afford to buy them. And he'll force us to trade with other countries. So it will have a severe impact on the U.S. as well. The companies will move there and they'll produce stuff, but they won't really have an external market for it. That's why Henry Ford was so innovative and forward-looking when he really perfected, or at least advanced, the development of the assembly line and mass production. He hired workers, but you know Henry Ford actually paid above the prevailing wage rate for his workers. And he went into business with the philosophy that his workers should make at least enough money to be able to buy the goods that they were helping to manufacture, so they could actually afford to buy a Model T. And he paid more than the other auto companies at the time and other manufacturing facilities at the dawn of the industrial age. And he had better retention of employees, and it resulted in a more prosperous economy overall, and Ford flourished and expanded under a more free market kind of system at the time, and it really worked. But what Trump is doing is counterproductive. Tariffs. These tariffs just, it's just going to be devastating. Terrible. We can go to the phones if anybody wants to call in. I'll put the phone number up on the screen right now. There's a lot to talk about tonight, all of that, and there's a lot more stuff going on out there too that we really haven't even really touched on here. But you can call in to the show at 1519-401-1373, 519-401-1373. And please like, share, subscribe if you'd like to support the program. If you don't hate me too much for loving my country and defending it, you can donate to the program and help keep us on the air. Here, let me put this banner up here instead. You can donate at freedomreporters.com. You can also e-transfer to rw581 at aol.com. And if you do that, please complete the security question when prompted by Interac and apply the answer Maverick, all lowercase, as you can see on the rolling ticker on the bottom of the screen. And that will allow us to complete the transaction. It's required by our bank because it goes into a business account, so that we can keep all the accounting straight and stay on the right side of the tax laws. So again, you can donate, though, at freedomreporters.com. And you can also donate in the Rumble Rants. A few people have been doing that. And I really appreciate the support we've had over the last few days. So, thank you to those of you who have supported the program and will again, I'm sure. So let's take a little break here, and when we come back on the other side, maybe we'll have a caller. You never know, and you can exercise your right to free speech by calling in right now at 1-519-401-1373. Okay, Mavericks, it's call-in time. Join the conversation. Call now, 1-519-401-1373. One 519-401-1373. Exercise your right to free speech. That's 1-519-401-1373. That's 1-519-401-1373. Maverick News. Call now. The world is watching and listening to you.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, I'm just going to take a look in the chat over on Rumble here. Hello, everybody. CBC Brown 44. Sure would be nice to have functioning parliament right about now. Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. Stoic teacher, crumbs from the king's table. And CHSHKK11. Rick, there are two genders, male and female. What else do we have here? Canada Veritas. How about the frightened parents of children being forced indoctrinated into pedophilia? Yeah, okay. She's just asking for a little kindness. What else do we have in the chat here? CHSH Chishshikuk 11. Then talk about how we can make Canada great again, MCGA, and stop worrying about what other countries are doing. And go to the phone, Rick. Yeah, well, the phone's open right now. You can call. And I'll answer if you want to call. Anybody, any takers? And I have talked about how we can make Canada great again. I told you the other night, I gave you the, what I would do if I were able to contribute to the solution. That would be build those pipelines east to west right quick and get that stuff done. Open up trade routes with other countries. Trade more with Europe. Trade more with all other countries. Reduce our dependence on the United States. So that we're not we're not at their mercy, because Donald Trump is not very merciful, which again is what the bishop is asking for, and you can see he's just not. Maybe things will work out, maybe not. Things feel a lot different this time around. I know there were people who were going to call in tonight, but so far no calls. We're ready to rock and roll here, though. 1-519-401-1373. Who dares to be the first caller tonight? Here's Danielle Smith's post. Canadian leader ready to work with Trump to resurrect Keystone XL pipeline.
Well, you got a beautiful dragon on the phone.
Hello, Dragon, sir. How are you tonight? Here, I'm just going to put up Danielle Smith's post on her X page tonight. She says here, hang on a second, Dragon. Let me just read this to people. Representative Ryan Zinke, of Montana, who served as Interior Secretary during the first Trump administration, said reapproving Keystone XL is possible and should be done. He also noted that pipelines from Alberta are crucial for maintaining America's supply of heavy crude oil. Yeah, because you need the oil down there, you guys. You do. So what Trump is saying, we don't need Canadian oil, that's not true. How are you tonight, Dragon, from Montreal?
How are you tonight?
Let me just make sure I've got good audio here. I'm turning it up as loud as I can. You seem a little bit low, but go ahead. What's on your mind?
Well, you know, I was thinking about that Stargate project, right? How scary that is. Because you cannot go more transhumanism that it is compared to diversity and inclusion agenda kind of thing. It's, you know, I mean, if I don't want to talk about the EBJABI or stuff in the arm, I'm just going to refer to that. So, yeah.
Well, this is the thing, right? It's everybody's like all the people who are so pro-Trump and by extension pro Elon Musk. Generally speaking, people in our sphere, right, in our circle of friends here and family, they're all afraid of digital ID, digital currency, afraid of transhumanism, afraid of even artificial intelligence. And who do we support? We support the father of the vaccine and his friend who is actively involved in the development of artificial intelligence. Also has one of his companies is Neuralink, which is being developed so that they can literally jack your mind into the matrix and chip you and put a chip in your brain, which would be then used to not only track you, but maybe even control you in unprecedented ways. And a president who, again, is just full steam ahead with the development of artificial intelligence, and that's going to be used to develop new vaccines, which everybody is also very concerned about. And where's the standardized testing to make sure that these things are safe and effective over the long haul? They're talking about doing this in like 48 hours. Oh yeah, testing be damned. What could possibly go wrong?
Exactly my thought.
Just
what possibly can go wrong?
Well, not like anything's always gone perfectly before, right? Like, nothing to worry about, though, I'm sure, because it's Trump and Musk.
Well, actually, you know what? If they lifted the first shot, they probably can try to break the problem by creating another shot.
And, you know, Dragon, I am not like anti-technology or anti-advancement. This could all be fantastic stuff, and maybe they will end up, curing a lot of diseases, and it could be a very good thing. But I need some assurances here that safety guardrails will be in place, that this technology won't get out of hand, that anything that's developed using it that's going to be administered to people for medical purposes is also proven to be safe, and that if there are risks, people are properly informed so that you get proper consent before you do things to people. This is opening a whole new can of worms, a whole new ethical can of worms. In addition to that, we're seeing that companies like OpenAI and the development of this project Stargate, we're seeing that these companies are going to be, some of these AI companies are integrating media companies into what they're doing. They're really going to end up controlling so many aspects of our society, from your medical interventions right through to the information that you end up consuming, so that they can actually control or manipulate what you think, how you think, when you think it, what you do, how they track you. Because if they control media, they control the flow of information, and they can manipulate what people think. There is a war on for your minds.
And let's remind us that he's trying also to, I know that he's trying to change, say, the education system in the U.S. so there's no inclusivity and diversity agenda in there. But at the same time, where is this going to go? Where is the railroad that this sort of system going to get them, right?
Well, I think, what we also need to be looking at here is who's owning what's going on behind the scenes. We have been warned that this is the rise of a new oligarchy, an oligarchical system in the United States. That in itself can be very dangerous. This is rich people, very, very rich people, controlling the White House, controlling the government, controlling maybe even the world, literally. This is not an exaggeration or paranoia. This is actually happening. And whoever dominates AI will dominate, control potentially the whole world. That's why Trump is allowing this kind of stuff to proceed so quickly. And it's pretty clear to me that Trump is part of this, has been. This is part of a larger plan that he is now rolling out, because these investments, that $500 billion AI investment comes, on day number 2 of his administration? That's not like something he put together in a day. This isn't something that just came down unexpectedly. He's been working on that. The other people have been working on that behind the scenes for quite a while, and they've waited until he's president to announce it. That's a red flag for me.
Yeah.
So how is Trump involved? Who around Trump is involved? Where's the money flowing? Who's ultimately going to end up controlling this stuff? Where's this going to be in, say, 4 years' time when he leaves office? Well, there are a lot of questions surrounding this, and who ultimately holds the power, makes these decisions. And then we also see that this AI technology, and this is what they're not really talking about so much, is that AI technology is being used for military applications, for target acquisition, just even determining where targets are, tracking targets, accumulating, combining in unprecedented ways, in an automated way, intelligence gathering data, and then coupling that with target acquisition, and then maybe even the decision-making process in deciding whether or not a target should be taken out. This is like a whole new era. I was just watching some intelligence information last week about the aging U.S. Air Force fleet. And right now the United States has about half the number of fighter jets that they had, say, back in the 90s. And the average age for most U.S. military fighter jets now is about 30 years. They're nearing their end of life. And they're only able to produce a handful, really, of these new F-35 fifth generation warfare fighter jets every year. That's about all they can produce every year, because they're so sophisticated, so high tech. Of course, they're extremely lethal. And, even if you put them up against 10 or 15 fourth generation fighter jets, I guess they can take out all of the enemy aircraft. They're that effective, but you can't produce them in high numbers. So you better hope that you don't lose too many of them. But in order to compensate for the lack of volume or the numbers of fighter jets, they're beginning to find ways to couple the fighter jets with artificial technology so that the AI aids in combat situations and makes these jets even more efficient, more effective. You add that to drone technology, which is growing by leaps and bounds at exponential rates. And we've seen that the war in Ukraine has really been the first drone war. And Ukraine has really been dominating with drone warfare, but just within the last month, it looks like Russia has just started to catch up with fiber optic technology, because they started off with radio-controlled GPS guided drones, but of course jamming has been circumventing some of those drones. So the solution has been to come up with fiber optics attached to these drones, which then can't be affected by radio waves. And then you couple that with AI, these things are going to be extremely lethal. This is the future of warfare. This is maybe even a threat to mankind, because who knows where all this stuff is going. I'm just nervous as all heck about it, to be honest.
Yeah, well, my point to this, and well, with what you said, is that I'm kind of fearing that we're going to have this sort of a Terminator type of situation soon, in probably the next 10 years. So
some people, even people working in AI, say that, you know, that is actually a threat, but they're pushing ahead anyway. I suppose in a way we don't have a choice, because there is an artificial intelligence arms race on right now. China's, I think, maybe even out in front. As much as Trump signs an executive order saying that the United States is going to be the artificial intelligence capital of the world, it's really, you know, I think China that might actually be out in front in terms of AI research. Not sure, don't know, because they're not really going to tell us where they're at with, you know, military applications and the development of military AI. So I don't know, but it's a race. Make no mistake, it's the new arms race. I think that's also what's driving a lot of what's going on with the conflicts in Gaza and especially in Ukraine right now too. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, if you know how China advancement into the drone race, and particularly into the army drone race, if you will, their capacity has augmented into the past 5 years, like exponentially. So I don't know how America can probably try to overcome that in certain ways. But, you know, we'll see. And at some point, I mean, it's scary, because what China is doing with all that, it's also, you know, creating an exponential creation of what it is going to be in pretty soon. And I mean, it's going to be dangerous. Things are not looking good, I think, for the next future of humankind.
And with that, let's wrap it up with a final thought there, Dragon, tonight.
Well, stay positive. We always look forward to another day, so you know what to do. Still positive, and stay also polite on chat, please. It's kind of hard to see sometimes people attacking people personally, so thanks. Have a good one.
Thank you, sir. Dragon from Montreal. And I'm just looking in the chat here. You can still call in at 1519-401-1373. And CHSHKK11, Chishk 11. I don't know how to say it. He says, "Go to the phones, Rick." Well, I'm on the phone. If you want to call, yeah, the number's on the screen. And we have Too Much for Air saying, Elon guarding the henhouse, finding out quick what a billionaire-run government looks like. Yes. Yeah. That's exactly right. Nothing to worry about, though, right? Oh. And Stoic Teacher says, Crumbs was referenced to JFK files. Crumbs. I'm not cluing in. I'm sorry. I'm forgetting what that is, or maybe I just don't know. Crumbs was a reference to JFK files. Okay. I'll have to look that up. I don't know what that means exactly. My bad. And CBC Brown 44. Trump's putting all the H blank chips on fracking. If that backfires and he comes crawling back, we should say price just went up. We won't, though. We're too nice. Yeah, we are very nice people. And Stoic teacher says something to placate the blank masses. Again, you've got me at a disadvantage. I'm not following, but okay. And Just Me Deb says, that's why Klaus called it the Internet of Everything, Rick. Network of everything connected. Yes, that's right. Yeah. That's true. And again, I'm not really completely afraid of new things, new technology, but I think we need to be cautious and act responsibly.
How are you, man?
Hello, who's on the line?
Oh, this is Raphael. How are you?
I'm just fine. Welcome back, sir.
Rick, I listened to you, but it seems like today you did not mention anything like Canada. You guys have so many contingency plans for that Trump situation. That means when Trudeau made that speech, when he said like, hey, if you keep on going like that, you're gonna force us, to go to Russia. It wasn't empty threat. I mean, they have some really serious negotiation are taking place between Canada and Russia. People don't understand that. The Canadian government, they're not gonna stand and let Trump trample them. I mean, they are very serious about it, and I think I think this is where Trump is making a mistake, because Trump is all about, United States is all about projection. It's not like they really have power. They don't have any intention of using power, but what they do is they do things and they hope you're gonna fold up. And the Canadian government this time, those people are not joking. Ford is not joking. Ford is serious. The Green Party leader, that woman is not a joke. That woman is really serious about it. And
Yes.
I think, I think the government, I think people in Canada, like me, I live in Vermont, and I love your politics, so I follow the Canadian politics. I listen to the radio, I listen to everything. These people are serious. They're not taking it, like they're not going to lay down and let Trump walk all over them. I mean, I even think some people are even thinking about like beefing up their border. And what people fail to understand, there is a reason why Canada is a Commonwealth. This is exactly for that situation, because after what happened to Mexico, the British or the Canadian people, they promised themselves, United States will never do what we did to Mexico. They're not gonna, because Mexico, we just walked to Montezuma and we forced them to give up the West Coast. The Canadians, they said we will always attach ourselves to the British government and force the British government, if the United States were to do something like that to us, where we have somebody to protect us. But I'm saying, like, the reason is this time United States made a mistake. Trump made a mistake. Trump thought like the Canadian people will fold. They not. Trudeau probably was, but the rest of the government, the other prime minister, these people are not joking. These people are serious. So that's my take, and I would like to know if you share my idea or if I'm too.
Well, to be honest with you, the call's a little garbled, so I'm having a little trouble understanding you just because it isn't a really clear connection. But I think you're quite right. People are not being threatened by all this, by Trump. Not going to just lay down and let him walk all over us. We're going to do whatever we have to do to survive, ultimately. And he's lying when he says that they don't need Canadian energy. In fact, in 2023, I'm just looking it up here, Canada provided 99% of the United States imported natural gas supplies in 2023. That's what I'm seeing right here. I don't know if that's true. That seems hard to believe, but that's what I'm reading, and these stats right here. You know, and the people who are like freaking out saying Canada shouldn't retaliate, yes, we should. And they've already said here today that I know that there's a part of the plan, I guess, is that right now, as it stands, we will slap tariffs on U.S. goods coming into Canada, and that the first round of counter tariffs would include tariffs on Florida orange juice and Kentucky bourbon, and then it will escalate from there. And the second round, so that will involve I guess the first round would involve like $37 billion worth of goods, and then would escalate to like up to $110 billion of U.S. goods coming into Canada. I have to go because I got to pick up this other call, but thank you for calling, and we'll catch you on the next call, okay? Go ahead, you're on the air. Who's this?
Sandy.
Sandy, of the voice of sunshine. Welcome back.
Happy Thursday.
Well, happy Thursday to you. Is it Thursday?
Alert, yes.
No, it's
not.
Thursday. It's not Thursday.
It is Thursday, January 23, 25.
Are you sure it's Thursday? I
Yep.
thought it was like Tuesday. Hang on.
I know.
Oh my God, it is Thursday. What happened to the rest of the week?
I know.
That's
We
okay. The
went
faster
by.
we get these weeks out of the way, the better, because it is too darn
the
cold.
weather and the ice and the
Yeah.
rain and
It's been brutal here this week. So cold. But anyway, what's on your mind tonight?
Okay, so I have a comment. Well, yeah, I think it's a comment, but for the new prime minister, if it was a woman, okay, she needs to speak French first, and she's going to kick ass.
Okay.
I really hope to see a woman prime minister in my lifetime, and she speaks French. She stays out of the scandals and kicks ass and cleans it up.
Okay. Yeah, well, maybe we'll get a female prime minister. You never know, except...
You never know.
Except
Krista Freeland, I don't know about her, but you know what? There could be a few out there that could do the job and could do it well.
I'll tell you,
And
you might be on track there. Maybe you have to unleash a little female power on the
a
Donald.
little female poodle or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Send somebody down
Right?
there that can really...
And they have to know French. The first thing they need to know is the French.
Uh-huh.
Parlez-vous français?
Okay, well, there you go. Yeah, you got to be bilingual, or you're just not
Gotta
going
be
to get elected.
bilingual.
Yeah.
Or it's not. They're not gonna. They're not gonna get hired. No.
Yeah,
And
glib.
as for
Just,
Trump,
yeah.
you know what? I'm all with you, Rick. I'm full force with you. What a dick.
Okay, yeah. I got to go. Another call coming in. Thanks, Sandy. Bye.
Later.
Go ahead. You're on the air. Who's this?
Oh, hi. Yeah, I gotta go. Got a call coming in.
You might want to turn your audio down.
Yeah, I just did.
Oh, John. Johnny.
Rick, I thought you were a smart dude.
I am a smart dude.
No, you're not.
No?
That's why you don't gamble. They'll take all your money.
I don't gamble. Not really. No.
You know, this trade war is like a poker game.
Oh, that much is true. Yeah.
It's like a poker game, right?
Yep. That's why I said I'll play with Danielle Smith any day, because she shows you her cards right off the bat.
She should be PM.
Yeah, right.
Nobody wants Trudeau in there, including everybody in the U.S.
Yeah,
Everybody in this planet.
you want her to be the PM, but no, I don't think so, John. She's already capitulated. She's not fighting for Canada.
Sure she is.
Oh yeah. Oh, Mr. Trump, where can I kiss you? And
like I
what
do.
would you like? Whatever you want, sir. Yeah, just don't beat us up. Oh, it's too late. Oh, you don't need our oil? You don't need our gas? Oh, what can we do for you? Yeah, she's really fighting for
She thinks
Canada.
like I do. Listen, you're at the table. You got the U.S. on one side with $30 trillion, and you got Canada on the other side with $3 trillion. Who's gonna win the poker game? Tell me, Rick.
If you,
Are you gonna?
it's not
Are you gonna clean house?
John. There are things that we have to do, man.
No,
It-
there's
he-
no
he's-
way you're
he
gonna
picked-
take on somebody with $30 trillion.
We're not taking them on. We're not taking them. He's taking us on.
What's going on here?
Well, what would you do, sir? What are you going to do? He's he picked the fight. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
What are you gonna do?
What are you going to
don't play. You don't play the game.
Right.
You don't play the game.
Well, how do you not play the game when he brings the game to you?
Well, you don't show your cards like
He's going to impose a
Ford and
25%.
everybody else.
He's going to impose a
Don't show 'em their
25%
cards.
tariff. He's going to, yeah, don't show him the cards. That's what Danielle Smith did. She showed him her cards.
No, she didn't.
She did too.
She doesn't want to play the game.
She said, under no circumstances will we, it can't be on the table. Energy's off the table, blah, 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 blah.
That's right. But she'll charge more for oil. That's for sure.
You charge more for oil? He says he doesn't even want the oil.
Yeah,
He says he doesn't need it, doesn't want it.
Like, first of all the oil is funding what? Quebec's pension plans. So
What's that got to do with the tariff?
they're getting ripped right as it is. Quebec. I mean, Alberta.
You're conflating issues. There's a
I know,
25.
I know.
There's a 25. There's a 25% tariff that he's going to impose. We didn't do that. He's doing that.
Okay, so
What are you
then
going to
we
do
go
about
dollar,
it?
You go dollar to dollar. Well, you don't have to show your cards.
Then Danielle Smith is the one showing the
We're
cards.
walking around like we the king. We the king. We'll take on anybody. We the king. Oh, you can't beat us. I'm Mike Tyson. You can't beat me.
John, I gotta go. There's another call coming in.
Yeah. Bye.
Oh Okay, whoever that was, you can call back. Call got dropped when I went to take the call. He's just don't play. The guy shows up on your border with a baseball bat and starts bashing in your skull. What are you gonna do? Somebody comes and picks a fight with you and starts punching you in the face. What do you do? Because that's what's going on. February 1st. February 1st. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do with all the cars that are not going to roll off the assembly lines on February 1st? What are we going to do? Better start making contingency plans because those cars aren't going to the U.S. Better start making plans now. And it would be just the cars. It's going to be like everything. Hundreds of thousands of people laid off. And if we don't come up with a counter plan, it's going to have devastating effects on the economy. I'm sorry, John, but that's the way it is, man. Like this whole idea, well, don't pick a fight with them. We're not picking the fight. They're picking the fight with us. It's all our fault. No, it's not. No, it's not. Then tell me what you would do. Because the reality is, we're not picking the fight. Okay, here we go. Go ahead, you're on the air.
John?
No, it's Rick.
Rick, hey, how you doing?
Who's this?
It's Patrick from New York and Oregon.
Well, welcome to the show.
Good, good. Yeah, nice, yeah. Anyways, yeah, I've been listening. Yeah, it sounds intense from your end.
As these days, every night's intense. It's fine. I've got blood pressure medicine. It's going to be okay.
Good, good. Yeah. I heard you call it John there, and I like both of you guys, and it's interesting and stuff, you know. I'm on your side, man. Like,
there's one.
Everything's great. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy.
Isn't it? It is, isn't it? This is insane.
Yeah. No, it's out of control. You know, like, okay, I started watching you around the trucker time, and I couldn't actually get involved with the truckers at that point because I was like, sort of on their side, but I was like, couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And anyways, here we are now. Yeah, it's not good.
It's not
right?
good at all. No, not good at all.
No, because we have people inside of Canada that are actually siding with the weird, it's not even the U.S., it's this weird idea of like, I don't know, making money or something. I don't know. I don't really get it.
Yeah, it's upside downward, right? Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and like we're different. We've got an idea that's like slightly kind of like America, but like different. And it's not really necessarily about making money. And I don't know, right?
I just think the country is worth saving, but all these people like around me, they're all like, "I'm a patriot. It's time to give up. Like, let's surrender and give up our sovereignty." I'm like, what? I thought you were a patriot. That means being patriotic, loving your country, and defending it. No? Or what am I missing here?
I kind of saw this coming in advance, though, like, because, like, yeah, anyways, like, when they were talking about, like, it was like the truckers came into Ottawa, and I wanted to be on their side because I'm anti-vax.
Yeah.
But they're all about, like, freedom, and like, all I could hear in my head was Plato's Republic, and, like, the calls of freedom, and, like, what that will lead to, right? The demagogue, right? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever read the book?
Yeah. It's just this whole Trump thing this time around.
Today, a federal judge giving down.
It's just, do you agree that this Trump 2.0 is different?
100%. And if you relate it to the Republic, in the Republic, it's like the demagogue will come back a second time, right? And then in that second time, after being persecuted, he'll unleash his powers, and then he'll have like a private police force, like the brown shirts, similar to Hitler, right?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's like all this, like even Elon's salute the other night, like that's normalizing it. Even if he didn't mean it, it still normalizes it because there is really a growing problem with that. Everybody knows it, but everybody's playing coy when it's right in front of us. I mean, it is a problem. Not to say that it's everywhere, but it is a growing issue, and it's like this strange, weird denial. And if you, I just. Again, man, it's like it's upside down world. Any comments on any of that as it relates to tonight's discussion?
Yeah, as much as I heard this tonight, but yeah, I do agree it's upside down world, and similar to like the Elon salute and like normalizing that like can't be accepted. I think. Yeah. Well, even though like intent might not have been there, it doesn't really matter. You know, it's not cool, right? Yeah. But that said, though, like I feel like it's being portrayed as like an oligarchy, but at the same time, I feel like it's more tyrannical. In fact, this time around. So, like, I think Elon will get like pushed out. That's my feeling.
I think ultimately you're right. That's probably where it's going to go. Something's going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's the reality of this. Like it feels like it's being sold to us as oligarchy, and that would actually be better than tyranny, right?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, but yeah, even there, it feels fragile. And yet, how do you say to the guy who spent $270+ million, "I don't want you around anymore"?
Like, yeah, it's beyond like my comprehension, but somebody who is like a certain ilk could actually be like, yeah, Nick, I don't care. Yeah.
270, but I spent $270 million to get you elected. I'm not going home. You're going to have me arrested and dragged out of here. That's a lot of money, man. But like I said, I'm sure he doesn't want anything for that.
Absolutely not. There's no way. Like all those guys got front row seats for no reason, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure that we really get freedom at the end of all this, right? It just doesn't feel like it's freedom to me, or
100%.
even honesty.
Like, yeah, it's not freedom. Like, there's no way. That's the thing. And then, but the problem is it's infiltrated across the border, and now, like with Daniel, I think Daniel Smith is like part of that, like sort of mega infiltration. To make you guess, right?
Yeah.
And then you have this like weird paradox within our country too, right? I think it's important to have like a line delineated where we don't stand for this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's as bad in Canada right now as it is down in the States. I think it was bad enough under Biden, and now we're getting this. This is just like, this is even, I think, worse. I didn't think it could get much worse, but this is worse.
And to kind of explain that, I was listening to Chris Hedges. Have you ever listened to Chris Hedges?
Not really. No, I know the name.
He's
I know.
Professor from Stanford, and then he was talking about how like we've moved from corporatocracy to oligarchy.
Yeah.
And and his main differentiation between those two was like the corporatocracy at least likes some stability, whereas an oligarchy likes instability, likes chaos, right? And thrives off of that. So, and then they make money, and then they can use that to like skim off everything, right? Like they make money off of resources, make money off of basic services.
Yep.
That kind of stuff, right?
Yep. And see, even look at what Trump was talking about today. He's calling on Saudi Arabia to basically crash the oil price, right? Well, if you, as the president, and if you're in that, if you know that's coming, you know how to invest. So if you can control the market just by saying, okay, tomorrow I'm going to say to Saudi Arabia, crash the oil price. So, get ready to buy and sell on cue, and we'll make a crap load of money. Like, this is the stuff that goes on.
He's been in cahoots with Saudi Arabia for a while, and it seemed like in the last presidency it meant peace for some reason. I don't exactly understand why. I think a lot of it had to do with deals and like him like paying off his debts and stuff. And then this go around though, for some reason, it's more about like creating chaos and then like, implementing things so that he can like skim off the top. Yeah, exactly. Like he knows like you crash the price and then you can make money. And like he implemented a Bitcoin not too long ago, right? Like
that
like
meme
a couple
coin
days ago.
thing. Yeah, it was, and it went like it skyrocketed. It was worth, what was the market cap on that? It was over $1 billion right away.
Yeah. It was like a pump and dump sort of scheme, right?
Yeah.
Like pump and Trump. Yeah. Like Hawk Tua supposedly did. Yeah, which she didn't.
And that,
she didn't actually
again, to me, that is not the kind of thing that a president should be doing, because.
But at the same time, you gotta understand this dude's about making money. Like that's the thing. It's always been that way, and like I haven't really hated on actually, but as of recently, I've started to hate on this guy. Like,
I know, me too, and I'm like, I don't want to, but I am.
But I haven't hated on him actually. Like even though I kind of understood he was. Like deceitful and all the rest of it and making money. But now I hate him because it's affecting, like I live in Canada, right? So I see a threat, and I've talked to people in my liberal sphere, my parents, for instance, who are like hardcore liberal. I'm like more libertarian.
Yeah.
But I've talked to them about stuff like this, and I've mentioned, like, this guy's a fucking oligarch, etc. Like, I can see him coming across the border with tanks for the purposes of pilfering resources.
Yes.
And we're on the same page. And I started realizing, I was like, wait a minute, I've never been on the same page as my parents. So, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm there with you, too.
Yeah. So, like, I started realizing, I was talking to a few people that I've for 20 years, actually, like I've talked about crazy shit like this. Nobody's agreed with me, and then I started talking about it in a very detailed way, like about timelines. Like I could see him coming across the border in 6 months, sort of thing, with tanks and stuff. And they agree with me all of a sudden. I'm like, it dawned on me, wait a minute. I talked to my sister, my mother, my father, a friend, like a close friend, and I was like, wait a minute. They all agreed with me? I was like, that makes no sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was kind of like, wait a minute. Like, for 20 years, I've been making these crazy claims that America is going to do this crazy stuff, and I'm like, but it's been broad and like very vague. But all of a sudden, I started saying very specific things. I was like, I could see this guy coming across with tanks like in like 6 months.
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah.
You know, you said as much, right?
Yeah.
I could see where they've gone to the canal, they've gone to Panama Canal, they've gone to Greenland, and our government could sit there and be like, well, I don't think they're going to come here because it's just not possible. And then like we'd be sitting here like, yeah, it's not going to happen, and then it does happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And I've been telling people for nearly 2 years now that Canada is in play. I couldn't really understand or figure out what was really going on. But then when we saw Tucker Carlson call the Prime Minister and say, I'm coming to Canada to liberate your country. And I was like, I don't think he's joking. And then when Lieutenant Steve Rogers ran his SOS letter writing campaign and got thousands of Canadians to like write letters to him that he took to the U.S. government where they're pleading with the U.S. to come and save them, to liberate them. I'm like, careful, you're asking America to invade us, and you just gave them a legitimate reason to do it. Like this, I'm like, I don't think this is a joke. And
I
everybody's
agree. Like I tend to. Although that said, though, you have to watch it. Like, because as you get closer to the truth, I feel like less and less people agree with you. So, but I've been using your language with my friends. Like, anyways, yeah. Like, Canada is in play. I would say that, and I said that with these same people about 2 months ago, and none of them agreed. But now, like, one of them definitely agrees with me. Like, yeah, Canada. Like, and it's not just that I'm saying Canada's in play. I'm saying I could see troops coming across the border in 6 months.
And we just had Grant Abraham on the other night, and he said this, that people in the United States believe. And it might be true, it might not be true, but the people in the administration believe that we have Chinese troops in Canada. So that's another issue, and I'm not even sure if it is true. I kind of, so that would be further justification. Then we have our own people saying, yeah, we are a national security threat to the United States.
Yes, yeah, like that's where it gets weird, is that we have the people. Now I've noticed, like in the last 2 days, where they're like, "Oh, Daniel Smith is doing such a good." I'm like, "Fuck that!" Like, she's not perceiving like the daggers that will come in her back. Like, she just doesn't understand how she's being played. That's for sure. Like,
Unless, see, the thing that has my radar up there and my red flags is she's down there with Kevin O'Leary.
But no,
there's oil. There's a lot of oil money there. You've got all these investors involved with him. He's got he needs to suck up to Trump because he wants to invest in AI. You just saw these major investments just in the last 2 days. You need massive amounts of energy to power AI research and facilities. Where's that energy going to come from? Oil, natural gas, nuclear, and O'Leary wants to build an AI research farm in Alberta. This stuff all ties together. You have, U.S. investments in the oil industry up there. This is like, that's what Trump's after. He wants the energy out of Alberta.
Yeah.
He wants to power AI. You've got a major oligarch investor in O'Leary.
Slash probably, equals probably like transitional to tyranny, I would think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like a central nucleus, yeah.
Yeah, so you see the money, you see the corruption, it's on full display. And then there's the premier who is
Yeah.
sucking up
Yeah.
to the oligarch on one side, who also
Yeah.
wants to buy TikTok for 20 billion, meeting with Trump with him at the same time, saying that, she's looking out for her province because she wants the investment in Alberta, and she sees writing on the wall. She knows what's going on behind the scenes, and I'm not so
She
sure that
kind of
it's...
does, though. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like she's getting played, but I think you're right. Like, you saw that with Tucker, because you can see that Tucker's probably Russian influence, because, like you were saying, he goes to Russia. Tim Pool, for instance, as well, who did get $2 million from Russia. We know that, right?
Yep.
There's definitely a confluence of money coming into these talking heads in America, probably from Russia, right?
Oh, I think so. And
Yeah.
people who would say, "Oh, you're being paranoid." No, after the fall of the Soviet Union, all through the 90s, if you went to like London,
Yeah.
England, like that whole place was just awash in Russian money. And a lot of it was elite, like corrupt stuff, like stolen, confiscated by government, given to oligarchs, laundered through the financial system here in the West. And there's been a whole lot of looking the other way because so much money has been flowing since the 90s. And then you look at what
Right.
Trump's been doing, deals here, deals there. Who knows what's really going on? The money is laundered, so it's hard to trace it.
I agree. But that said, though, like, you got to understand that the closer you get to truth, the less people are going to agree with you.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like, I've been following you. I feel like you have a better actual feel, for what's going on with all these media types that are getting money in order to repeat Russian talking points, essentially, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's Russia that's fueling America, it would seem to me, and it makes sense to me if I was Russia, because I would want to compromise Canada because it's a soft underbelly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you could then infiltrate, and you gotta respect Putin, because Putin is way more clever than most of us, by the way, in that Machiavellian kind of way, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and he's got a propaganda knack. He's the man for the New World Order. He's the man. Like, it's not Trump. Trump is not the man for the New World Order. No.
I've been telling people that too. Thank you. I keep saying, you want to see where the New World Order is? He literally is saying it. Putin said it. This is a New World Order. Like, this is BRICS. This is like they're reshaping the world into a multipolar geopolitical reality, not a unipolar United States only political reality.
Along those lines, and then to add to your point, like the multipolarity. So let's say the tanks do roll into Canada. Well, all of a sudden, America's petrodollar is going to tank because they rely on soft power. That's the thing, and that's their whole history is like soft power, and like it would just eviscerate the currency, I think, overnight, right?
Oh yeah, everything Trump is doing, it's actually destructive to the United States that I'm seeing so far, and we're only 4 days in.
Though, yeah, I have a feeling he knows Bitcoin is like the end goal, and this guy's all about himself, and to me, it's always been kind of obvious. So. But I used to like him, but now I kind of hate him because, he's talking about taking over Canada, and that's not cool, right?
Not at all. Weird.
No, that's not cool. Like, Canada is distinct, and we are unique as much as we don't have to understand ourselves, actually. We don't have to. It doesn't matter. There is a difference between us from coast to coast. It doesn't matter. We're definitely unique people, and we need to appreciate that because we are softer type of person. And we're also kind of crazy, too, at the same time. Like, you shouldn't come across that border. It's not a good idea, in my opinion.
Now, the one thing that is making me question my sanity, right, is I keep checking the value.
You and everybody else being
I keep checking the value of the Canadian dollar, and I keep saying to myself, if I'm right, the Canadian dollar is going to crash because confidence in the Canadian system is going to tank, right? Because we're just going to be seen as a country that's about to be taken over, or our economy is going to be devastated by the Trump tariffs. But we're still holding today at 70 cents US. It's been pegged.
I think that there's going to be a persistence of like no matter what happens, that's the thing. Like there is a distinctness between us and them, and like we may not appreciate that. They might have to roll in with tanks and like do the Marine thing and all the rest of it, but it doesn't matter.
Are we really sitting here talking about the United States possibly rolling into Canada with tanks? Are we really doing that tonight?
And it is a reality. It is like based on my conversations with my mother, who never agrees with me on anything. And it's definitely a short-term reality. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Welcome to
I'd say
2025 and the new Trump world. Oh.
Yeah, because it's part of a phase. Like the tariff thing is probably just the beginning. Like that's where Daniel Smith is dumb as fuck. Like it's just phase one of some operation, right? Probably, I would think. Yeah.
Yes.
I get that feeling. That's my feeling.
Me too. I'm right there with you. I'm so glad you called tonight. Now at least I'm not alone. There are two of us.
Yeah. Noticing you're very alone, but I get it because you're closer to something that makes sense. That's the thing. Yeah, and I haven't figured out the truth either, but like, you know what I mean? Like you get closer and people hate you and all the rest of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's it's so hard to sit here honestly and even say anything even remotely negative about Donald Trump, because as soon as you do, it's like people lose their minds here and they're like, I just come under massive attack. I'm surprised I have any viewers left.
I'm upset with, a lot of these, I noticed that a lot of the people that started with the trucker convoy are like super pro-Trump. Like, I don't want to name names, but like, I started reading the comments. I'm kind of upset that they haven't figured out that we got to be like on Team Canada.
Yeah.
Well,
if you love your country, we have to be on Team Canada. I do. Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta it's an actual line, right? It's not artificial. That's globalist shit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta have a line, and if they go crazy, then we have to defend a line, right? Yeah. Simple.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for calling in tonight, man. This has been it's been a little stabilizing for me.
I've been listening to you for a long time, and I've noticed a lot of things, but I wasn't on board with the trucker stuff. Like, even though I kind of was.
Yeah,
but,
I know.
Yeah.
See, and I'm not as hardline about it as I was back then either. So we're meeting right, someplace in the middle, and that makes me feel good too. That's given me hope. So thank you.
Yeah, you're onto something. Yeah, I don't think you're going to get any validation, so I'm sorry.
That's okay. This is if you want to know how to not build a YouTube channel, this is the example. How to alienate all your viewers and make everyone hate you.
Right.
It's just
tell the truth. Yeah,
that's right. That's exactly
tell them
right.
what they want to hear, right?
That's right.
I get that too, but like I could be like, oh yeah, everything's all good. No.
Yeah.
It's not.
Thank you for calling, and please call back again. I need you. All right, have a great night, man. I'll talk to you later. Bye. That was a best call of the week so far, except maybe Sandy, because she always is so bright and cheerful. Plaid Dad says, this is therapy. It's okay. Thank you. I appreciate your understanding. Well, guys, I think it's about time we wrap this thing up tonight. And I'm going to try and be positive as I sign off this evening. Let me just bring this up here. There we go. Yeah. I don't know how, but I'm still going to say, it's going to be okay. Be positive. It'll be all right. Oh, all right, John. I'll take your call. Here we go. All right, you're calling in right at the end. I was just about to go walk my dog, John.
Well,
that's
it's the trader from Alberta calling in. How are you tonight?
I'm okay. Are you calling to depress me or cheer me up?
No, cheer you up. I'm actually just leaving Matador Pizza, Varsity Drive, Northeast Calgary. Breaking news. They're doing a new pizza for me, Rick. It's called the Maverick News Special Pizza, and jacked right up. So anybody in Calgary, Northwest, the best pizza in the city is Matador. Pizza.com.
Oh my God!
Drive, and they're doing a Maverick News Special Pizza.
Did they? Did they give you a free pizza to say that on the program?
No, I wish they would. Actually, Jason, Paulie, Sterling, Jack, they're just wonderful, wonderful people.
Pizza
they're
corruption
doing a Maverick
right
News
here.
for me tomorrow night. Anyways,
You're compromised now. We can't trust anything you say because you've been bought off of the pizza.
I'm a trader from Alberta, my friend, with old Daniel Smith. What's this thing with Trump and the World Economic Forum today? What's that all about?
Well, he spoke to the World Economic Forum for the third time, by the way. But everybody thinks he's anti-W.E.F, but they only keep inviting him back. This is his third time there.
Wow, really? I thought I was a little taken aback when Klaus Schwab introduced him today. Little taken aback. I can't. I don't know, Rick. What's going on with our country, Rick?
Well, we had this conversation earlier today, right?
We did.
And I think we're under attack. And people are like, well, we shouldn't be picking a fight with Donald Trump. But Trump's picking the fight with us. We don't have a choice. Well, we shouldn't be talking about energy. Like, he doesn't even want our energy.
Rick, I told you this morning, I want to get that lady on the show, that bishop from Washington, Alberta, Canada, Ontario. We're going to give Mr. Trump the biggest bitch slap he's ever seen. We'll bring to the United States of America to their knees, Rickster, because we're a bigger, better, stronger country, and they need us.
They do need us.
No tariffs.
And John, is it fair to say that you're kind of coming around and you're a little closer to being on Team Canada tonight? It sounds like it.
Always was on Team Canada, my friend. Always, without question. But Canada is a much bigger, stronger country with our mineral resources, oil, gas, fishing. You mentioned Ontario, Quebec, PEI. We're just bigger. They need us. We'll bring them to their knees, Mr. Trump, the orange orangutan. He's going to get a bitch slap from Team Canada, bro.
Well, I don't know if we will bring them to their knees, but what we should be doing is doing everything we can to minimize the impact on us. And I would say that even starts with us. I was thinking today, when I go shopping from now on, if this is the way it's going to be under a Trump administration, then we have to shop Canadian. So I'm not going to shop at Walmart. I'm going to shop at like Loblaws. I'm not going to shop at Home Depot. I'm going to shop at Home Hardware because that's a Canadian company. I'm going to try to keep my money home as much as I can, and try to avoid. And I'm just going to try to buy Canadian at every level. And that will
Rick,
help.
Not to interrupt you, but I was watching in Matador, Steak and Pizza in the Lounge. The Calgary Flames are playing, I don't know what American team today. The guy singing the national anthem for the United States and Canada, a military guy, whoa, did he belt her out for Canada, Rick? With old Canada. And Rick, I'm changing my jersey, Rickster, from Sovereign Alberta to Team Canada, Rickster.
Oh, John, you're giving me a new hope, and I'm so glad because we did have this conversation earlier today, and I'm just grateful that you're being patriotic and coming on board to defend our country. Because as I said, as we talked about earlier, we have an obligation, I think, to honor those who have literally paid the ultimate sacrifice to defend this country, and we need to pass this legacy on. This is a great place. It is a great country, and if we lose the country, how are we going to vote against politicians we don't like.
Well, you know, Rick, I am the grandson of a World War I veteran, and he fought for Canada, not for Alberta. He fought for this entire Dominion of Canada. I'm always been Team Canada.
Yeah, it has to be Canada first, and then provincial interests after. We have to work together, and it's not really the oil. Like, Trump's coming for the oil, but he's really coming for those auto plants, and that's what's on the table. And you know, Johnny from Toronto, I understand you're like, don't engage. Well, it's not. We don't have a choice. If they impose the tariffs on us, this is the thing people are getting upside down again. It's like, well, we shouldn't impose export tariffs on oil and gas. We don't need to. Trump's doing that. Trump's putting a 25% tariff on everything we export. Everything. Hello, that's not us. We don't have a choice. So we have to counteract that in whatever ways we can.
We've got to stand together, Rickster, from British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, PEI, the territories. We're stronger together, and we got to be totally Team Canada. And it's may God bless Canada, the greatest nation in the free world.
And with that, it is time to wrap up. Thank you for calling tonight, John.
Love everybody. Maverick News Worldwide from Alberta, and peace, love, and strength, and Team Canada #1, Rickster.
You betcha, my friend. And I will see everybody back here tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's Friday. I don't know where the whole week went. I thought it was like Tuesday. Losing track of time. But I'll be back, and I guess it's movie night tomorrow night too. Maverick Midnight
Well,
Matinee.
Rick, you know what I'm going to be enjoying with movie night tomorrow night, Rick? Yeah. A Maverick News special pizza from MatadorPizza.com, Calgary.
They did give you a free pizza.
Maybe tomorrow night. I'm working on it.
Oh my
I love
God.
them.
Corruption.
It's everywhere,
okay,
Rickster.
At least you're being semi-transparent about it. Love you. See you later, John. Here's Free Dog.
All right,
Cosmo's
cheers.
taking us out. See you tomorrow night, Mavericks, on the flip side.
Well, I heard old Cosmo howling last night up on the hill where the moon shines so bright. He was singing a tune, lonesome dogs cry about freedom, running and touching the sky. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. Cosmo's got them paws that just itch to roam. He's chasing his dreams, he's far from home. With a heart full of love and a spirit so free, he's living his life wild and carefree. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard of a blur. Cosmo's on a journey, he's got no chains. He's running through fields, breaking all the lanes. Now the night's getting cold and the sky's turning gray. With Cosmo still out there, he's miles away. He's not looking back, he's got his path to tread. With every step, he's leaving his path. If I leave here tomorrow, would you still remember me? Cosmo's free, running wild, wild as the wind can be. He's a free dog, he's a free dog, he's a free dog. So if you're feeling lost, just think of Cosmo's run. Remember his spirit, his freedom, his fun. And maybe one day, when you're feeling alone, you'll find your own freedom and let your spirit go. If I leave like it's never heard of a bird. Of a heart full of love and a spirit so free. He's living his life wild and carefree. He's got the stars in his eyes, the wind in his fur, a tail that wags like it's never heard a word. Cosmos on a journey, he's got no chains. He's running through fields, breaking all the lanes.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.